Under a pitch-black sky, a single streetlight flickers over a young guy standing by a drink cooler. His hand reaches for a bottle of soda. The clerk politely asks him if he's getting the cola. What? Dopamine Addict is stunned, but he quickly nods. Cold water drops speed down the plastic. Then suddenly, bam! The clerk swings a heavy blow right at him. The clerk just smiles, whispering that it is an excellent choice. His eyes widen in absolute shock. Everything goes completely black as Dopamine Addict's inner voice takes over. I am a dopamine addict. The shattered bottle splashes everywhere. Let's rewind to 1 hour earlier. Long, slender fingers tap rapidly against a keyboard. I will say it once more. Dopamine Addict describes himself with a single simple truth. I am a dopamine addict. Idols, rock bands, premier leagues, soccer, extreme sports, martial arts, fishing. I did absolutely all of it just for that sweet, sweet rush. And when those ordinary things stopped giving me that spark, I turned to online gaming instead. Dopamine Addict stares blankly at his frozen computer screen. He mutters to himself, let's give this another shot. To be honest, I never wanted to get into gaming at first. It just reminded me too much of my mother, who never once picked up her phone while playing. 31 missed calls, but once I tasted it, I was totally hooked. Always chasing even stronger thrills, I ended up mastering and beating every single post-apocalyptic survival game out there. But there was one specific title that gave me the absolute ultimate rush. That game was Apocalypse Zone. Dopamine Addict goes on to explain the lore. A massive meteor collision plunged the entire Earth into a brutal ice age, instantly wiping out almost all of humanity. But after a long time, a warmer interglacial period arrived, allowing the remaining survivors to build safe zones to cling to life. Well, at least that is how the backstory goes. 9 safe zones in total. Kenji Cola, Sega Zay Beer, Chicken Cocaine, Nayflat, and Unicorn. Dopamine Addict mutters with a deep frown that method did not work either. Players can choose their starting area from 8 regions, excluding the locked zone knife, and once they pick, they start the game in that very zone as a 10-year-old child. Once you survive the brutal early game, you must constantly prepare for the end times until you turn 20 years old. Because the exact moment you hit 20, the second great disaster begins. You can call this long preparation phase stage 1 of the game. But this is where the game gets absolutely wild. Look at his screen, he's testing a brand new strategy, aiming to eliminate a target. And that's when things get real, because we're talking about pure brutal survival. Once that second great disaster officially begins, you must fight for your life against the other safe zones. And that is when you realize exactly why your starting region matters so much. Because the harsher your starting area, the higher the stats you can eventually earn. On top of that, the players coming from the locked zone, Naif, are absolute, literal psychopaths. If they spot a survivor from a lower difficulty zone, they will try to slaughter them on sight. That is why you have to choose your starting region with extreme caution. But for me, those crazy elements from my very first Apocalypse Zone run, just look at these guys, they are exactly what kept me hooked for so long. But even that ends today. Dopamine Addict tightens his hand into a solid fist. Finally, he stares at the screen and thinks I have seen the ending of every single safe zone, clearing them all successfully. I cleared everything, including the hidden zone, Naif calmly. Dopamine Addict pulls off his headphones and checks his phone, telling himself it is time to start. On the webpage, a guide title reads, Dopamine Addict's Hidden Zone Guide. Since I want as many people as possible to experience this absolute masterpiece of a game, I regularly post detailed guides on the community forums. You can pretty much call it my own little hobby. His phone buzzes instantly with rapid notifications. Dopamine Addict smiles, seeing that the user Home Protector is, as always, the very first to comment, wait, starting in that psycho den. Is that even a real starting area? No wonder it has a crazy difficulty rating even though it is locked. Home Protector adds, wait, what on earth is this anyway? What kind of guide tells players to go slaughter all the residents just to start the game? Dopamine Addict winces as he reads. This guy is spamming comments. He keeps reading through them. Home Protector asks, but the people in that zone kill everyone, even women and kids, so is starting there really possible? Room Corner Hubby replies, instead of asking stupid questions, just read the guide. Please, Dopamine Addict sighs to himself. Usually I delete toxic comments instantly, but I will let this slide just this once. Another user asks, but how do we even unlock that hidden zone, Dopamine? It is simple. You just need to achieve all the starting endings for the other areas. Room Corner Hubby snorts, easy for you to say, damn. Dopamine Addict thinks I am pretty sure I already posted guides for all those other areas too. Room Corner Hubby comments, do you actually think normal people will follow those insane guides? This guy is totally nuts. Dopamine Addict reads this in silence, then suddenly flinches. You have been blocked by Room Corner Hubby. That message instantly makes Dopamine Addict yell out in frustration. What the hell? That jerk actually blocked me. Gritting his teeth, he keeps reading through the remaining comments. Home Protector comments, to be fair, your guide is just crazy difficult. The starting character is only 10 years old, so does slaughtering the safe zone residents make any sense at all? Another user chips in anyway, Ed's guides are just for fun. Is my guide really that hard? At least someone is thanking me. User TB writes, thanks for the amazing guides as always, brother. I am absolutely sure my guides will help someone out. Dopamine Addict keeps his eyes glued to the screen. Well, at least I am finally completely finished with this game now. Walking down the quiet streets at night, Dopamine Addict asks himself what to do next. He can genuinely feel it. His dopamine levels are starting to crash. Hard. He seriously needs to find a brand new thrill. And honestly, don't we all? But watch closely right here. A bright light catches his eye since when was there a creepy convenience store standing right in this dark alleyway? Night has fully fallen over the street. Inside they sell Kenji Cola, Sigazete beer chicken, a kitchen knife, and even unicorn. It looks like a literal safe zone copy. Did they do a promotional collaboration with some convenience store? Dopamine Addict looks around, amazed. No way, the game does not even have a Korean version, so a collab is absolutely out of the question. The owner must be a hardcore fan of Apocalypse Zone who somehow imported all these weird items. Still, trying to run a business with stuff like this is just pure madness. Maybe I should give them some free publicity. Home Protector DMs him, dude. Where is that? Give me the address. Dopamine Addict hits send. Suddenly, Dopamine Addict is snapped back to reality by a voice right in front of him asking if he is taking the cola. Surprised, he quickly replies, yes, that is right. But inside, Dopamine Addict is thinking, wait, is he mocking me for taking so many photos when I am only buying a single bottle? Suddenly, he senses something is seriously wrong. As he lifts the bottle to inspect it, the clerk raises a heavy weapon, ready to strike. But wait, this bottle of cola doesn't even have a barcode on it. Suddenly, a heavy impact smashes down. An eerie voice whispers right behind him, excellent choice. Dopamine Addict's body collapses limply to the ground as the world around him begins to shift. He wakes up with a completely different look. Jumping to his feet, he hears someone shout, "What the hell is this?" Talk about a fresh dopamine hit. Did I seriously get dragged into that trash game? Apocalypse Zone. Dopamine Addict looks at the weird guy right next to him. And of course, I am stuck with a guy who can't stop cussing. They start talking. So did you also grab a cola at that convenience store? And is your username Room Corner Hubby? Dopamine Addict studies him with a cold stare. So he's that rude keyboard warrior from the forums? Great, now he is running away already. What a total pain. Hearing this, Room Corner Hubby looks completely taken aback. Talk about rude, it is already starting. Wait, Rosa, did you finish getting that internet addict's name yet? Keep your focus. Even with all this, Dopamine Addict does not feel like anything is wrong. So what? A social misfit? Corner Husband just explains it away, says everyone curses like that online these days. But what about you? What is your account name? That sudden question makes Dopamine Addict freeze up on the spot. Honestly, I never thought I would get sucked into another world with the exact guy I blocked. Corner Husband actually complained about my guide, asking who would ever follow a strategy like that. The guy is completely nuts. And since Dopamine Addict blocked him, telling the truth will only make things incredibly awkward. I cannot just tell him I am the legendary Dopamine Addict, so I have no other choice. I need a fake name. A small smirk plays on Dopamine Addict's lips as he lies, calling himself T-But Beater. Walking together, they asks if he also got the delivery address from Homeless Potato. Dopamine Addict just nods instantly. Yep, total lie. But as they keep talking, Corner Husband gets more and more terrified. Why on earth did this nightmare have to happen to him? This place is definitely the Apocalypse Safe Zone game. Is Homeless Potato completely insane? Why would he
leak that address?
I used to wonder how Corner Husband even found that convenience store to get sucked in here. It turns out Homeless Potato leaked the address I gave him, and this poor guy went there and got dragged straight into this chaos. Dopamine Addict keeps piecing it together. If that is indeed true, a highly likely theory comes to mind. Could there be other real players who got pulled into this game too? Considering regions like Kigaz or Unicorn, once the second apocalypse begins, we might be forced into a brutal fight against players from those other areas. Meaning we will have to fight other players, do or die. Dopamine Addict closes his eyes, shifting his thoughts. No, save that worry for later. Surviving right now is the only priority. Suddenly, Corner Husband gets super excited and asks, wait, since we got sucked into a video game, can we use the actual game system? Dopamine Addict looks at him with a pretty confused face. Game system? Corner Husband eagerly continues to explain his thoughts. Exactly. Things like quests, a shop, and a skill window. Like a hologram popping up to let us allocate stat points when we level up, stuff like that. He desperately yells status window and inventory, but absolutely nothing happens. Refusing to give up, Corner Husband keeps shouting out everything he can think of: quests, status screens, items, characters, library, monster guide. Please, literally anything, just open up for me. System. But no matter how hard he tries, the cruel reality stays the same. Absolutely nothing happens. Corner Husband completely collapses, realizing those convenient system features do not exist here. Oh damn it, they drag us into this crazy world and do not even give us a starting perk. You and I both know how unfair this is. We really have to beat this game empty-handed in kids' bodies? Seriously? Throwing someone who was living a perfectly good life into a trash heap like this. Hearing that, Dopamine Addict finds it pretty hard to believe. A good life. Corner Husband just keeps on complaining. Man, if I knew this would happen, I would have cursed a lot less. He slumps against the wall with a heavy sigh, looking up to ask T, what is your plan now? Have you played the cola area yet? How far did you actually get? That sudden question catches Dopamine Addict off guard. His clear progress? In reality, he cleared all the way to the final zone, being the only player to conquer the hidden area. Better scale down the progress to match T's level. He lies and says he only reached Unicorn. Still, Corner Husband is completely shocked. Wait, what? Stop lying. Even among Dopamine Addict's hardcore followers, only a handful ever made it to Unicorn. But if you actually got that far, wait, thinking back, that jerk was the first one to post that convenience store address online. Doesn't that mean he got dragged into this world too? Where was his main base anyway? Was it in Unicorn? Hearing this, Dopamine Addict gets quite suspicious. For someone who claims to absolutely hate me, this guy sure knows a lot about my details. Let's stay calm. Thinking back, when I posted my final strategy guide, his comment popped up immediately after homeless potatoes. Wait, is this guy actually onto him? He quickly smiles and makes up a believable excuse. I am a follower of Dopamine Addict. I just do not post on the forums, but I have read every single guide he ever made. Corner Husband is totally blown away by this, asking if he really knows them all. Dopamine Addict just asks back in confusion. Did you not read his guides too? I literally saw you commenting on his posts every single time. Suddenly, Corner Husband gets extremely quiet. His face drops, a pretty forced smile appearing on his lips. I did read them, and now all his bottled-up rage finally explodes. But that absolute jerk blocked me anyway. Damn it, I was a loyal follower who read all his guides, even if I did not post on the forums. You know all of them? Hearing this, Dopamine Addict just chuckles to himself. So it is not that he hates me, he just felt a one-sided connection, got blocked, and threw a massive temper tantrum. He even admitted to always giving my strategy guides a like. Corner Husband is still venting his massive frustration, cursing the guy under his breath. Out of all the people, why did I have to get isekai'd with some crazy fanboy of Dopamine Addict? At this point, Dopamine Addict realizes the guy is not actually bad. Corner Husband's reputation points go up slightly in his mind. After all, he is a good citizen who always liked my guides. Anyway, you just asked what we are going to do next, right? Dopamine Addict smiles and whispers that from now on, he's going to become an illegitimate child. This illegitimate child tactic is actually one of the wild strategies he posted on the forums. The Kola area is a frozen wasteland ruled and guarded by a pretty heavy military faction. The absolute ruler and commander of this military group is Hengusman. The plan is to pose as his long-lost illegitimate child and become his sole heir. Hearing this, Corner Husband gets pretty worried. Are you completely insane? You want to actually use the illegitimate child strategy? Do not do it. Reality is vastly different from a video game. But Dopamine Addict has no time for arguments. Fearful? Go find another way then. His cold attitude sends Corner Husband into a panic, desperately running to catch up. Corner Husband stammers out that he is not scared at all. He is just questioning if this plan is even possible. To pull off the illegitimate child strategy, you have to trick the Supreme Commander. One lie and your head is gone. Dopamine Addict simply answers with a pretty confident smirk, so you are definitely scared. Corner Husband flinches, quickly denying it. No way, I am not like that. He claims he is just worried about his partner. Dopamine Addict watches him and honestly does not blame Corner Husband for feeling this way. After all, they got sucked into a game overnight. To make things even worse, this is a post-apocalyptic world where death is around every single corner. Being suddenly trapped in the bodies of 10-year-old kids, feeling terrified is pretty natural. Placing a hand on his chest, he checks his own heartbeat. Strangely enough, he is not feeling scared at all. In fact, since waking up in this crazy world, a weird sense of excitement is taking over. He thought he had already squeezed out all the dopamine this game could offer. Besides, he is the one who has to pull off the lie. Honestly, he does not even care if he dies trying. That crazy explanation leaves Corner Husband completely speechless. What? Dopamine Addict just shrugs and keeps going, saying that who knows, maybe it is for the best. What if dying in this game actually wakes me up back in the real world? But Corner Husband is genuinely terrified for him, asking what if he actually dies for real. Dopamine Addict simply explains that whether from game over gets executed for lying, the ultimate result is exactly the same. He is really just chasing that next sweet dopamine rush. Corner Husband curses in frustration, totally helpless against this absolute madman. After a brief struggle, Corner Husband speaks up again, asking what he is supposed to do. After all, the illegitimate child strategy does not really require any help. This response catches Dopamine Addict slightly off guard. So that is what you are actually worried about. Since I can handle this strategy completely on my own, I know a pretty perfect place just for you. By the way, have you served in the military yet? The Corner Husband is stunned by the sudden question. What? No, I literally just turned 20. Dopamine Addict pauses in surprise, thinking it over. Right, no wonder you act like such a kid. He speaks with a thoughtful expression. Since you haven't enlisted yet, this is absolutely perfect. Smirk plays on Dopamine's lips. Nearby, a few soldiers are standing guard while others walk around in small groups. Then Dopamine drops an absolute bombshell on him. You are joining the military. The Corner Husband turns pale, his face completely drained of color as he stutter me? Why so suddenly? Dopamine explains it with brutal simplicity. You already know we are orphans here. This world is split into 9 safe zones for a pretty simple reason: to protect humanity from alien creatures. The first apocalypse, the Ice Age, started with a giant meteor crashing down, unleashing mysterious alien creatures. That is the history of this world. It is why the unicorn zone floats high in the sky while the beer zone sank underwater. Aside from those two, every other zone constantly battles these alien monsters. Dopamine calculates in his mind. If we enlist now, we will definitely get dragged into a massive conquest war. That is when a sudden system notification will pop up. Get ready, the Conquest War event has officially triggered. Even at 10 years old, you are forced to fight. Dopamine keeps calculating. Since we are orphans, we have no guardians and no home to return to. Enlisting is our survival strategy. They provide free food and shelter, and we can learn to shoot. His highly convincing argument leaves the corner husband with no choice but to agree. Fine, survival comes first. I get it. But I do not speak any English. How will I survive in the military? He brings up this obvious barrier. Oh right, this game never actually got a Korean release. I totally forgot that I literally taught myself English just to write game guides. Outside, thick snow blankets the rooftops as a letter is handed over. Dopamine calmly explains that he already submitted their applications and they just have to wait. The corner husband gasps in shock. Really? Dopamine adds that since the Cola Zone accepts 10-year-old recruits, they will definitely get approved. Right on cue, the corner husband starts nagging again, complaining that even the military application form is entirely in English. They transmigrated us into a game but could not even bother installing a Korean patch. Dopamine is pretty used to this attitude by now. Classic. He already filled out everything from his name to his reason for enlisting. He gives him some friendly advice. Do not worry, from now on just say yes sir. That is your default answer. Yes sir. The corner husband completely freezes up. What? Dopamine looks around, scanning the area. But seriously, is this for real? We seem to be the only ones speaking Korean, yet nobody cares. Could it be because of the default game settings? His gaze sharpens with intense focus. In that case, make sure you write down absolutely all critical information in Korean. That way, we keep it safe. That way, none of the NPCs around here can read it. The corner husband smiles back, saying that is easy. Dopamine quickly adds one more crucial thing. And another thing, once you enlist, we cannot travel together for a while. Once Commander Hayden recognizes me as his successor, I will summon you. Hearing this, the corner husband looks completely panicked. What? Are we seriously walking separate paths until then? Hey, since you asked if I served, you must have finished your military duty. Right, he casually suggests. Why not enlist one more time with me? You seem like you would do pretty great. Dopamine stares at him, judging his friend in silence. This crazy bastard actually dared to say something so terrifying with such an innocent face. You selfish jerk. I already told you, I need to execute the illegitimate child strategy. The corner husband desperately pleads if we stick together, we might clear this game much faster. The concept of together feels pretty foreign to Dopamine. But wait, what if other players transmigrated here too? Just think about that possibility. We definitely need to establish a strict rule of conduct. Anyway, remember what I told you. Do not act like a useless rookie soldier, got it? Dopamine turns to walk away, throwing a final command over his shoulder. For now we play solo. The corner husband quickly calls out after him. Hey, tell me one last thing before you leave. What English name did you write down for me on that form? Dopamine replies with a completely straight face. Oh, you will find out the moment the officer calls your name. I just wrote something simple and easy. Meanwhile, an officer staring at the paper mutters. What a bizarre name, daring outsider. Some time passes before Dopamine checks in again. Alright, it seems like the corner husband's application went through without a single hitch. Now it is time for him to focus on his own quest. He must find the grave of Lunamun, that poor woman buried alongside the proof of her illegitimate child. In the lore, Commander Hayden actually came from an entirely different zone. Before joining the Kola army, he nearly lost his life but was miraculously saved by a brave soldier. That soldier was none other than Lunamun herself. Later, after entering the Kola forces, Hayden became Lunamun's lover, and they even had a child together. But then came a cold ultimatum. If you marry my daughter, you will inherit everything I own. Defying everyone's expectations, Hayden married the former commander's daughter. Yet, he promised that once he secured the commander's seat, he would bring Lunamun and their child back to him. Just trust me and wait for me, he said. Dopamine calculates quietly. Hayden could never keep that promise, and the sad reason for that was Lunamun's sudden, mysterious disappearance. Dopamine's eyes widen in sheer shock. He quickly ducks behind a large boulder as someone suddenly approaches. Is it a patrol? He looks around, scanning for escape routes. That was a pretty close call. I almost ruined everything. I have to be extremely careful, because getting caught would cause massive trouble. Outside, soldiers are ordered to search every corner of the Kola area. Commander Hayden is still desperately hunting for Lunamun and the child everywhere. Dopamine peeks out cautiously from behind his rock, his gaze turning deeply somber. Standing before him is the grave, built by those who never knew Lunamun had passed away. Approaching it, he feels a pang of guilt about disturbing a resting place, but he has no other choice. A notification pops up. The crucial item for the illegitimate child strategy is buried right here. Dopamine's hand suddenly freezes as he senses something off. He grabs a handful of dirt to inspect it. The soil is incredibly loose. Don't tell me, Dopamine mutters, completely shocked. Has another player already been here? Years ago, a devastating plague swept through the slums where Lunamon lived. While every healthy person fled in terror, a young girl remained behind to help. She calmly held their hands to comfort them. Acting as a combat medic, she stayed entirely alone to nurse the sick. Later, survivors knelt in grief at her fresh grave. But soon she caught the plague herself, and the surviving patients built this tomb for her. An icy wind howls across the mountain as Dopamine digs, lost in thought. She was a pretty decent person compared to anyone else. The sanctuary she found after parting with Haydn was struck by a plague. What a tragedy. Finished, he pries open the coffin lid with his shovel. But I guess this works to my advantage. Because of the plague, people rarely come near this place anymore. It is so isolated that even Haydn could never find it. The moment the lid slides open, he gasps. Coffin is already open. Just as I thought, there is only a skeleton inside with a bare neck. The commander's token has completely disappeared. Dopamine Addict suddenly remembers Hassan's quest. The strategic guide for the illegitimate child storyline starts exactly like this: retrieve Commander Hassan's token from Lunamon's grave, and then bring it straight back to him. To be recognized as the commander's illegitimate child, you need the token he once gave to Lunamon. That item is supposed to be his military dog tag, but right now the neck is bare and the token is gone. I expected this might happen. Someone was fast enough to snatch it first, meaning I really am one step too late. A smirk plays on his lips as he thinks, well, father, things are starting to get interesting. But Dopamine Addict immediately remembers a golden key. There is no need to worry because he knows where the real token is hidden. He carefully kneels down next to the skeleton. I never wrote this secret down in my strategy guide, but the actual token Commander Hassan gave her was never that military dog tag. Now watch this. Dopamine Addict reaches inside the skull and pulls out a glowing ring instead of a dog tag it is forged from the very meteorite that brought complete ruin to this world. This is the Moonstone ring, forged from a fragment of that very meteorite. He holds it up, inspecting it closely. Normally, you can clear this storyline with just the military dog tag, but since someone beat me to it, I have no choice. Dopamine Addict feels a bit sorry for this poor female soldier whose grave got looted after she passed away. She definitely never wanted this ring to be taken. Standing up, he whispers to the grave, apologizing to Lunamon for disturbing her eternal rest and also for pretending to be her son from now on. Dopamine Addict bows his head and makes a solemn promise. If I succeed in becoming the commander's successor, I will truly treat him as my own flesh and blood father. The gemstone in the ring flashes, and he vows to do everything to survive. Instantly, a powerful gust of wind erupts around him. You have taken a step closer to the secrets of the apocalypse. Dopamine Addict grits his teeth, trying to hide the ring. Was there always an apocalyptic event like this? I am about to get caught. Suddenly, the system screen flashes before his eyes, unlocking a portion of the messaging system. The system is active, showing character profiles and inventory. The chat function is locked, but a special privilege for the all-clear player is available. Do you want to check it? Confirm. He stares at this in deep thought. Special privilege. Did I get this by meeting some hidden conditions? I should check if this lets me connect with other players who were transported here. The prompt remains right in front of him, offering the special privilege for clearing all areas. He steps closer and taps confirm. A chat room? I wanted to check my surroundings first, but let's unlock this reward first. The system screen immediately displays a new notification. Welcome to this world. Player Dopamine Addict is the only user who has cleared every single area. You are granted the ability to inherit titles. Note that title effects do not stack. Title list: Friend of Lunamon, Poison Specialist, though Eternal Commander, Enemy of the Kootman Family, and Conqueror War Hero. Dopamine Addict nods as things start making sense. So inheriting these titles is my special privilege. That is a massive list. He begins mapping out his strategy. Once you earn a title in the safe zone, you can carry it over to the next playthrough, and its effects are usually tied to how you achieved it. For example, if you equip the Friend of Lunamon title, you can easily increase your favorability with any NPCs who were close to her. With high enough favorability, the commander might just look at my face and declare that I am without a doubt his own son. He finally makes his decision. Since I have to meet the commander tomorrow, I should equip the Friend of Lunamon title right now. Dopamine Addict then stares blankly at the ring. But if only those who cleared every area get these privileges, it means everyone else is starting completely from scratch. Deep in thought, he unconsciously slips the ring onto his finger. But look at this. Another unexpected notification pops up right before his eyes. The effect of the Friend of Lunamon title is currently being applied to a target right now. Dopamine Addict stares at his hands in disbelief. The title effect is active? Realizing something, he slowly turns his head back to the grave. This notification only triggers when there is a nearby NPC affected by the title, but I am the only one here. Grabbing his shovel in silence, Dopamine Addict quickly shovels snow back over the coffin lid. He does not know what is going on, but since nothing has attacked, it should be fine. I will just ignore it and seal this coffin back up. Looking at the freshly dug snow, Dopamine Addict wonders, has the thief who took the military tag already made their way to the commander's mansion? He heads to Hassan's mansion amidst the whispers of the crowd. It really is a shame. He was only trying to follow a perfect guide. To think such a diligent player would end up like this. The guards block him the moment they spot him. Hey kid, what business do you have at the commander's estate? They actually feel bad having to turn him away. Dopamine Addict speaks up. Bluntly, I have information about the person the commander has been looking for. The guards stand there, completely stunned. So the young master was right, he actually showed up. Dopamine Addict feels a flash of doubt, a young master? The guard tells him to follow along, saying the young master is waiting. He silently follows behind. This is completely unexpected. As the heavy doors swing open, he walks in with questions swirling. Whoever this person is, are they actively waiting for other players to arrive? A gentle male voice welcomes him to the room. The guy approaches with a friendly smile, asking if he is a player. Suddenly, a system window pops up named Taejun Title Nut, linked Zone CA. This player has not unlocked the system, so you cannot send a friend request. Seeing no reply, the boy walks closer, telling him there is no need to be so cautious. I do not know if you realize this, but he grins and explains that since there is no Korean language patch in this world, if we speak in Korean, the locals will not understand a word we say. The system window displays the name Seupzo title, none, linked zone, zone CA. This player has not unlocked his system yet, so you cannot send him a friend request. Dopamine Addict glances over and calmly replies that he already knows. Lowering his guard slightly, since the guy shared useful info without hostility, he asks directly, but why are you waiting for other players anyway? Seupzo lets out a disappointed sigh, calling him pretty impatient. He says they should exchange names first before diving into details. Hearing this, Dopamine Addict is completely taken aback. Wait, exchange names? Seupzo stares intently at him. Since their systems are locked, they cannot view his stats. Remembering a past introduction where someone called themselves T-but-B, Dopamine Addict thinks to himself that he should just borrow that name again. He decides to trick them and slide by smoothly just like last time. Steps draw closer as the guy offers to introduce himself first. The neck accessory flashes, and Seupzo proudly announces that he is Dopamine Addict. Hearing this, our main character thinks his ears are playing tricks. What did you just say your name was? The guy chuckles, assuming he knows the name. Right in front of him, Seupzo proudly boasts about his fame. Well, I am actually pretty famous on all the community forums. Remembering those guides titled The Top 5 Hardest Strategies by Dopamine Addict, the impostor beams with pride. He tells him that people call him the first legend to clear every single safe zone in the game. Dopamine Addict pales, realizing this guy is straight up impersonating him. Do I really look that annoying to others? After showing off, Seupzo's tone turns dead serious. It seems like you just barged in here without any strategy. Would you mind leaving right now? He chuckles, raising the pendant around his neck, warning him that he cannot even start this questline without it. Before Adi can even get a word in, Boss Zo abruptly cuts him off. But seeing that reckless confidence, Boss Zo steps up and raises his voice with a proposal. Let's see if you can actually be useful to me. What do you say? Why not work under me instead, just like this kid right here? As he says this, he points to the guy next to him. Adi's eyes suddenly go wide. Ah, now I get it. He pictures collapsing in the freezing snow. Players who cannot adapt to this harsh world get weeded out before they can even try a strategy. Boss Zo manipulates them like chess pieces, but the ones who survive gather right here because of that exact strategy. Safe Zone 8 is actively scouting for fresh pawns, with Boss Zo plotting behind the scenes to eventually succeed Commander Haydn as the next leader. To make that happen, he needs capable allies. Acting totally sincere, Boss Zo promises to testify that Adi is the commander's son, but Dopamine Adi coldly cuts him off, stating he is going to show the commander what a real strategy looks like. Adi already has his own plan and has zero intention of working with this guy. In a low voice, he demands that Zo go fetch the commander. He is incredibly annoyed that this imposter dared to copy his own personal strategy. His sharp voice echoes through the room. While Boss Zo repeats his offer to testify, Adi is secretly thinking to himself that he's about to show them both what a real master strategy looks like. Hearing this, Boss Zo silently exits the room. Adi slowly turns around, satisfied that the fraud has gone to fetch the commander. The other kid looks up at the sound of his voice. Adi tells himself that it is time to figure out why Safe Zone 8 kept a guy like this around. Adi strikes up a conversation, asking if he also came for the illegitimate child strategy only to end up in a party with that guy. Bowing politely, the kid replies that actually, he woke up in the exact same starting area as Damon. Dopamine Adi looks completely skeptical, asking if they really woke up in the same spot. Tong TC quickly nods to confirm. Adi cannot help but think that this kid is surprisingly cooperative. Adi immediately sees through the scheme, realizing Bossos started impersonating him the second he arrived. Now watch this, he asks why the kid actually followed a fake when he could have just joined the military. Hearing that, the kid's face goes pale and he admits he has absolutely zero desire to return to the military. Adi nods, realizing that this guy is actually a veteran. He recalls the kid's massive build standing next to Bosso. He looks gentle, but his physique is incredibly buff. Now it makes sense why Zo kept him around. After a silent moment, Adi asks in a low voice, "Do you not resent Dopamine Adi at all? You are suffering out here because of the location address he leaked." Tong TC keenly off, admitting he knows, but says he is actually glad it happened. Adi's face goes blank with confusion. What did he just say? The kid clenches his fist with pure determination, saying that playing a game alongside his idol makes his heart race with excitement. Tong TC takes a deep breath and confesses he is a massive fanboy. He calls Damon his absolute idol, making Adi sigh inwardly. This kid is definitely not normal either, forcing Adi to step back from the intense confession. Plus, he is the legend who cleared every single zone. Now that they are stuck in this world, there is no reason not to follow him. Tong TC turns to him with a dead serious expression. So if you want to survive this apocalypse, you had better do exactly what he says. Adi is left completely speechless. This kid's personality is on a whole different level of bizarre. He decides to ask one more question. Standing right in front of Tong TC, he asks if he is an absolute supporter of Dopamine Addict. Though a bit confused, the kid immediately confirms that yes, of course he is. Adi lets out a sigh of relief, telling him that he meets the requirement. Before the kid can ask what that means, the door swings open. Commander Hayden walks inside, asking if there is an acquaintance here. A system notification pops up. The Friend of Lunamon title effect is being applied to the target. He looks at the commander in shock as the system explains that because he owns Lunamon's ring, the effect is doubled. Adi is left dazed as the commander approaches. He wonders what a doubled effect even means. Suddenly, Commander Hayden leans down close, whispering that Adi looks exactly like her. Looking at him, Adi wonders if this is more than just a favorability boost. Does he actually look like Lunamon? Boss Zoe approaches from behind, completely baffled by the weird atmosphere in the room. Zoe loudly asks where the proof is, demanding the testimony he promised his father. Adi is immediately annoyed by the guy's incredibly loud and obnoxious voice. Adi slowly pulls something out, asking the commander to look at it. Resting in his scratched palm is a small ring which he claims is his mother's keepsake. Commander Hayden's face instantly freezes. Boss Zoe grits his teeth in absolute panic, wondering what that old ring is all about. Commander Hayden finally speaks, demanding to know the meaning of this. Adi shivers as the commander abruptly stands back up. He glares at Boss Zoe, asking if he really claimed to be his son, yet the ring of the person he loved most is in someone else's hands. Boss Zoe's face turns pale, wondering where that ring came from. Wasn't the proof supposed to be a military dog tag? Panic-stricken, Zoe stammers and tries to shift the blame, shouting that the ring is actually his and Adi stole it. The commander's next words silence Zoe with pure terror. Hayden coldly turns his back, warning him to shut his mouth. He promises that if Zoe dares to lie again, he will not be forgiven, even if he is just a kid. Zoe's voice trembles as he panics that this is impossible, since the strategy guide clearly specified a military dog tag. Standing nearby, Tong TC tearfully calls out to him. Boss Zoe looks like he just got struck by lightning. He stares at Adi, hesitantly asking who he is. When he gets no response, he loses it and demands to know his true identity. Adi coldly asks who he thinks he is. Just then, the system drops a massive bomb player. Boss Zoe has officially failed. His face goes completely pale, and honestly, watching him collapse as the system deletes him is pure satisfaction. Immediately after, a stream of alerts pop up. Ownership of all items is being transferred to Dopamine Addict, including the inventory space, Lunamon's ring, and her military dog tag. Adi is startled to see the transfer. Meanwhile, Commander Hayden scoops up the unconscious Boss Zoe, rushing him off to the medical bay first. Adi's heart slowly sinks as he realizes something. There is only one scenario where another player's gear gets transferred inside a safe zone, and that is a successful player kill. He sighs, wondering if failing a strategy really means death in this place. Adi is still deep in thought. Though he is not entirely sure, perhaps dying is what actually sends them back to reality. Behind him, Tong TC leans against the wall, weeping over Boss Zoe. He asks why Zoe suddenly collapsed. Standing behind him, Adi cuts him off, telling him to calm down. After a brief pause, he reveals that the guy was never his actual brother anyway. Tong TC turns around with a completely shocked look, asking what he means. Adi suddenly recalls an old comment left by this kid, thanking him for always posting such amazing strategy guides. Adi turns away with a sigh. Since the kid claimed to be his biggest fan, he smiles and asks how he failed to recognize him. He reveals that he is the real Dopamine Addict. Tong TC jumps in absolute shock, asking if he is truly the real deal. Adi nods, explaining that since the kid has not even unlocked his system yet, he has no way of seeing player information. This player has not unlocked their system, making friend requests impossible, but Adi adds that he can easily see the information of other players. Adi proceeds to read out his exact username, Tong TC. He looks at him and softly points out that he would never fail his own strategy this early in the game. Finally snapping out of it, Tong TC excitedly apologizes to his idol, admitting he knew something felt off. There was no way the legendary Dopamine Addict would fail so early, though he was almost fooled by the impostor's act. He desperately tries to prove his loyalty, repeating that he always knew Adi was the real deal. Adi sighs with a hint of annoyance, asking if he actually bought that fraud's act. Keep your voice down, I do not want to reveal my identity just yet. Sighing, he warns him that not every player out there is going to be friendly. From now on, he emphasizes, you just call me Hyman. Tong TC is stunned for a second, but quickly replies, the commander's son? Yes, boss, I got it. Dopamine Addict looks pretty pleased and praises him. Great, if you cooperate, I will help you survive in this area. He nods his head vigorously, promising to do his absolute best. Dopamine coldly turns away, glad he escaped being drafted, leaving Tong TC behind to desperately cry out for his big brother. In his mind, he thinks this guy is incredibly easy to handle. Right now, Dopamine Addict searches his memories. The difficulty of this zone is still pretty low, but inside this 10-year-old body, what he can actually do is extremely limited. And when considering the players in other zones, it is definitely best to make as many allies as possible. Thinking of this, he suddenly reaches for an object hidden inside his pocket. Now his fingers gently touch the ring that holds a new quest, The Secrets of the Apocalypse. These items are hidden behind everyday objects. It turns out every single zone contains a meteorite item. He had known this since playing the game, but back then, the system notified him. You have taken one step closer to the secrets of the apocalypse. Thinking back, it makes him highly curious. After obtaining the meteorite item, this is actually the first time an apocalypse notification has popped up. Another prompt appears, showing a partial system unlock, and he stares at it intently. Right after, the system officially unlocks. More items will gradually appear. This means the more meteorite items he collects from different zones, the closer he will get to uncovering the secrets of the apocalypse. This deduction leaves Dopamine looking pretty stressed. He thought just stopping the apocalypse would do the trick, but now he has to dig up its darkest secrets too. Talk about a massive curveball. A slight smirk plays on his lips. Real life is way too different from the game. Tong TC nods quickly to confirm his instructions. When the commander returns, tell him that Boss Zoe scammed you. He briefly summarizes the situation. Since you accompanied the fake son, he is definitely going to suspect you. Once we get out of here safely, I will introduce you to another player. He then continues, explaining that his name is Room Corner Husband, and he has always helped him out. Remembering an old online comment, he wonders if that guide was meant to beat this stage. Is your hobby torturing other people? Tong TC immediately realizes. Ah, that toxic trash talker, right? Dopamine Addict replies. Yeah, that is him, so when we meet him later, just play along with whatever he says. Understood, boss. Tong TC agrees without any complaints. I got it. But then he suddenly hesitates. Leaning in super close, he whispers that there is something else he needs to mention. That tea butter guy, I think he has been possessed too. Dopamine Addict's eyes widen in complete shock. What? How on earth do you know that? Tong Tease whispers that veteran players started vanishing right after he posted the convenience store location. Picturing someone walking out the door, he continues talking about tea butter being possessed. Thinking back to the scene in the supermarket, Dopamine Addict flinches in sudden realization. What? How do you know that? Tong TC honestly replies that after the convenience store location was posted, the veteran players began to disappear one by one. A question rings in his ears. Did you buy a knife? His hands holding the item freeze slightly. Since the guide on the knife zone was posted, he figured he would give it a try. Pausing for a second, Tong TC continues, saying it was an hidden zone anyway. He tells him how the guy bought a knife and paid for it. Remembering a specific zone symbol, Dopamine deduces that his starting point must have been the knife zone. Dopamine Addict gets a terrible gut feeling that this guy ended up in the worst place possible. He tells himself not to blame him since he only shared the location with Hamzo Testo. But then he suddenly remembers. Wait, did you see Tea Butter get hit on the head and still get possessed? Tong TC looks completely bewildered, asking what he means by getting hit on the head. After a brief silence, he explains that the employee smashed his head with a barcode scanner. He got possessed on his way out of the store. Dopamine Addict cannot help but ask if Tong TC was not hit too. Tong TC casually replies that he was not, which makes Dopamine scream internally. Why on earth did that bastard only smash his head then? Taking a deep breath, Dopamine tries to calm himself down. That stuff does not even matter anymore, just forget it. Taking a deep breath, he warns him to remember exactly what he said. If his father questions you, say you were tricked. Tong TC obediently nods, saying he understands completely. Suddenly, the door behind them swings wide open. A young man walks in, telling the black-haired boy that the commander is calling for him. Dopamine Addict immediately realizes that his grand plan is finally falling into place. He quietly replies that he will be right out. Meanwhile, Commander Haydn is waiting in the dining room. As Dopamine Addict walks over, he cannot help but marvel at how incredible the title effects must be. Seeing him, Haydn speaks up, apologizing for making him wait. He then adds that he sent his friend back to his room because the boy was not feeling very well. He is slightly surprised, not expecting to be invited to a meal right away. Remembering how long he spent searching, the commander asks in a low voice, Haydn, I spent years looking for you and Lunamun, but I could never find you both. Where on earth have you been all this time? Dopamine Addict sits down at the table and honestly answers that they were at the back of the slums where his mother was staying. The commander looks completely shocked, asking if Lunamun was really in the slums. Dopamine confirms it, adding the crushing detail that it is actually where his mother's grave is. The commander's hand on the table tightens. So she has already passed away. He quickly composes his emotions. Since I broke my promise and caused you to lose your mother, I want to make it up to you for all those lost years. Dopamine Addict quickly catches on. Just as expected, the commander immediately declares that he will choose him as his sole successor and leave him absolutely everything. Hearing this, his entire body freezes. This line triggers when you successfully complete the illegitimate child quest line. Immediately, the system screen flashes a notification. Quest successful. Thanks to your outstanding performance in completing the plan. The 3 reward selection is now ready. Please choose your rewards carefully. It is currently 0 out of 3. Dopamine Addict starts calculating his moves, knowing the illegitimate child quest is only the starting point. Sweet, the reward prompt finally popped up. Looking at the commander's serious face, he knows that to secure this territory, he has to absolutely nail these 3 choices. Now watch how he plays this. Because depending on what rewards he demands, the commander will decide whether to choose him as his heir. Seeing his silence, the man speaks softly, telling him to speak up and say what he wants. Dopamine Addict had already figured it out. Obviously, the very first reward he is going to ask for was decided a long time ago. On the outside, he hesitantly requests that the commander regularly visit his mother's grave. He already pictures the future. The more often the commander visits Lunamun's grave, the more everyone will realize just how much he truly cares for his newly found son. Plus, if he keeps an eye on the slums, his succession points will definitely go up. Commander Hayden immediately nods in agreement, promising he will do exactly that now that he knows where she is. Right then, the system notifies him that one of 3 rewards has been locked in. Dopamine plays along, looking quite sad. Only 2 rewards left. Hayden suddenly notices the scratches on his hands and guiltily looks away. First, the delicious food is served, and they start to eat. Dopamine Addict is completely stunned for a moment. Potatoes, cornbread, salad, and even real meat, instead of the usual cheap monster scraps? Looking closely, these are all extremely rare ingredients. Commander Hayden, sitting across from him, looks quite apologetic, telling him that he prepared this in a rush, but to eat as much as he likes. He quickly explains that it is more than enough. In his mind, Dopamine Addict feels relieved because everything with Tong TC seems to be going smoothly. Meanwhile, the other young man looks incredibly flustered. I have no idea what you are talking about, so just stop it already. Tong TC keeps bowing on his knees, pleading and apologizing. Dopamine opens his mouth to bite into the delicious bread, only to bite into empty air instead. He looks around in a panic. The food is just gone, and he didn't even get to take a bite. How? Suddenly, a massive hand slams onto the table. Hayden glares straight at him with wide eyes. Dopamine Addict feels his hands start to shake. Did he get caught? Hayden steps closer and grabs his wrist. I knew it, the commander mutters. I wasn't seeing things. He stares intensely at the young man's palm. The injury is completely gone. Even Dopamine Addict is stunned. It's totally healed. His eyes grow dark as he thinks about it. He begins comparing his past condition with how he feels right now. Wait, it really is gone. That's when Dopamine Addict starts piecing all these strange events together. The way the food vanished earlier, it's exactly like consuming an in-game item that gets absorbed into your stats instantly, which means this wound healed because of game mechanics. He recalls his time back in the slums. Everything has been weird since the start, especially when he walked with that kid and met the beggar. Since taking over this body, he hasn't felt hungry even once. On-screen, stats and a piece of bread load up. A body that never experiences hunger. Just some simple cornbread. Freshly baked bread. It has that delicious corn aroma. A system where eating restores your HP. Think about how wild that is. Game mechanics are literally taking over his reality. Leg wounds just vanish in seconds. This means he never has to worry about daily meals again, and even if he gets hurt, he can patch himself up in an instant. A slight smile creeps onto his face. This wasn't mentioned in the Conqueror perks at all. It must be a general privilege shared by every single player who got transported into this world. Dopamine Addict notes that he'll have to test the limits of this auto-recovery later. He holds out a fork, prompting Tong TC to turn around with a totally clueless look on his face. He turns back to face Hayden. How is he supposed to explain this to the commander? He hesitates, starting to say, "Commander." Actually, but Hayden immediately cuts him off, telling him he doesn't need to say anything. After a long silence, Hayden reveals that his mother also had healing powers, shocking the young man. He adds that over the years, countless people have come claiming to be his biological children. The commander's fist clenches. Of course, they were all lying. The image of the female army doctor reflects in the tea. Thank you so much for finding me, father. The two sit in silence. Dopamine Addict bows his head, murmuring that it is strange. He thinks it over. As far as he knows, no NPC has healing abilities. On top of that, Lunamun was just a game character. Remembering her, he wonders if she was a player too. Dopamine Addict lets out a sigh, relieved his identity is still safe, but now he has a lot more mysteries to look into. He looks at the Moonstone ring in his possession. Why would their token of love show up here of all places? It holds the secrets of the apocalypse, the mystery of the army doctor, and whether Lunamun truly possessed healing powers. Dopamine Addict watches the man cautiously, wishing he could ask him directly how his mother used those incredible abilities back then. But asking now might easily trigger suspicion from the others. He pictures their reactions and decides against it. First, he absolutely needs to secure his own position. After a long silence, Dopamine Addict speaks up. He quietly tells the commander that he has one request. Hayden nods in approval, telling him to go ahead and speak. Then he makes a bold request, asking to dine with other kids his age once a month. A system notification pops up showing 2 out of 3 rewards. Hayden is confused, asking why he would want to eat with other children. Dopamine Addict remembers the poor orphans by the cliffside. He notes that many children out there are starving and freezing. Looking straight into the commander's eyes, he makes his case. He says he is lucky enough to have meals like this, so he wants to help them however he can. But secretly, he has other plans. This is just a clever excuse, since only players can absorb food in this world. Meaning with just a single shared meal, he can easily separate the players from the NPCs. He imagines running into Tong TC or that guy in the corner. Tong TC would happily cheer that he knew he could trust his brother before grumpily asking why it took the bastard so long to find him. It would make managing other players so much easier. He silently looks back at Hayden, knowing this move will also win the trust of the peers he will be working with in the future. Talk about killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Of course, Hayden is frowning in deep thought. It all depends on him accepting the request, and Addict knows how tight money and supplies are right now. He understands the commander's hesitation. From Hayden's perspective, this request could be politically misconstrued as some sort of forced welfare program. Meanwhile, Dopamine Addict calmly sips his tea. But the request is far from impossible. He already has a solid backup plan ready. He speaks up again, saying that if it costs too much, highly confident that guilt-tripping the man is the best way. His face shifts to a look of deep sadness. He says he can just drink water instead, picking up his teacup. Back when he had no food, he had to survive by eating snow. It won't cost anything at all. These words hit Hayden right in his conscience as the boy asks if his father could please consider it just this once. Dopamine Addict turns and speaks softly. Hearing him say father makes Hayden freeze on the spot. He immediately gives in, promising to arrange a gathering early next month. The system immediately registers the progress for those 3 rewards. Night falls, candlelight flickering in the hallway. Hayden stands by his bed, softly wishing him a good night. Dopamine Addict sleepily replies, wishing the commander a good night. Hayden freezes up slightly. Under the pale moonlight, Hayden confesses that the boy must have so many unanswered questions. He asks why he married another woman when he loved his mother, and why, as a commander, he failed to protect her. He gently pats the boy's head, saying he wants to explain everything, but it might be too hard to understand at his age. His eyes are filled with absolute warmth and tenderness. He promises to tell him everything when the right time comes, asking the boy to also share what he knows in return. Dopamine Addict keeps his usual cold expression and nods, which seems to satisfy Hayden completely. Hayden looks a bit disappointed as he walks away, reminding him that he can always call him father. Dopamine Addict stays quiet, realizing that calling the commander father is actually a highly effective tactic. He rubs his head tiredly. While it will take a long time to actually mean it, he plans to exploit this card whenever necessary to secure a shelter manager later on. Suddenly, the system announces that with multiple players now active, the global chat feature is unlocked. He bolts upright in bed, completely stunned to see the chat system is finally working. Another player just unlocked the system, prompting a message. Get ready, because this chat room is about to blow things wide open. It asks if he wants to join, noting private chats require being friends first. He wants to see if meteor items are truly the key requirement for unlocking this system. Without hesitation, Dopamine Addict immediately taps the screen to join. 2 alerts ring out as Dopamine Addict enters the room. His face goes completely pale when he sees the second player is T-Bat. Horrifying memories instantly flash through his mind. If Tong TC was right, T-Bat is currently in this zone, and the meteor items here are definitely the key elements needed for a brutal strategy to wipe out the local residents. The Black Coat Gang is gathering at a crossroad that acts as a den for pure psychopaths. It is a place where savage murderers openly roam the streets, slamming knives into glass while the weak are hunted like prey. As everything turns dark, the only strategy to survive is just as ruthless. He has to completely eliminate every single resident in this area. His quest progress stands at 0 out of 1,000. A complete massacre. Dopamine Addict stares thoughtfully at the system screen. It sounds like an impossible task, but a way still exists. The dagger shatters the iron chains, needing only the meteor item from this zone. With that dagger, even a child could take down an enemy in a single blow. He couldn't help but recall how desperately he had struggled to survive in his own past. Of course, that doesn't mean clearing the trial is easy. I only barely made it out after dying countless times. Dopamine Addict had a burning question in his heart. How did T-Buster not only survive that hell, but even unlock the system? Watching the notification for entering the public chat room, his lips curved upward. That Tat was definitely no ordinary guy. Staring at a mysterious box in his mind, Dopamine Addict wondered what he should ask first. Did that guy unlock his system by finding a meteorite item too, or how far along was he? After a long silence, a system chime rings. Tat, are you the Dopamine Addict I know? Dopamine Addict? Yeah, that's me. He quickly focuses, taking a deep breath to calm his racing thoughts first. But the incoming message leaves Dopamine Addict completely stunned. You're Dopamine Addict, I will hunt you down and kill you. The next morning breaks beautiful and bright as a brown-haired young man opens the door. Young Master Hai, please wake up. The director is looking for you. Dopamine Addict is already standing by the window getting ready. He turns around coldly, asking where he should go. When he got that death threat, he had quickly typed back, look. Dopamine Addict here. I'm not the one who transported you to this world. We're in the same boat, and I want to help you. He recalls his actions last night. I did everything I could to soothe T-Buster's rage. Like it or not, the guy is capable, and I absolutely need him to secure the meteorite item from that intersection zone. So he kept messaging as Dopamine Addict, "Let me give you some useful info. Players don't actually need to eat or drink, and you can heal your own wounds." Finally, T-Buster replied, "That's actually helpful to know." Yet Dopamine Addict can only grit his teeth as Tat replies, "Even so, if I survive, I'm still coming to hunt you down." He sighs, "Look, I told you I didn't throw you into that place." His hatred runs deeper than I expected, he thinks. But then again, he's probably living through absolute hell right now. Honestly, without the burning desire to murder me, he might not even survive his current trial. In the end, Dopamine Addict sent over a direct challenge. "I am currently in the Kola region, so make sure you survive and come kill me here." He recalls this casually. So he literally had to encourage his own potential assassin just to keep him alive. Bright sunlight bathes the massive estate as Dopamine Addict walks down the path, though he still hasn't received any reply. He must be incredibly busy fighting for his life. Suddenly, a voice echoes ahead, "Welcome." Dopamine Addict stops in front of a figure just as a system alert pops up, and the man turns around. "Yesterday I met someone claiming to be Hyan, and today I run into another." Dopamine Addict replies with a flat yes, and inside he is deeply annoyed. This man is Director Merso, serving as the commander's loyal aide. And honestly, you've got to love his strategy here back in the game. He'd just poison this suspicious mastermind to clear the stage easily. Now Merce slowly steps forward. "Even if you are the commander's biological son, you had better show some proper respect," he whispers, stepping closer. The commander's official wife is Lady Daphne. "At the end of the day, you are nothing but a mere bastard." Merso's shadow looms over his vision. He is exactly the same as he was in the game, but this time I won't kill him. Dopamine Addict recalls the man's tragic past. Merso was an orphan and a former child soldier. Though he can be overly sensitive, his outstanding abilities earned him high recognition. Merso silently locked his loneliness away from the world. Yet, deep down, he harbored a secret dream, a world where parents love their children, and those children love their own in return. A warm, loving family passed down through generations. He wanted that so badly, but then his hand accidentally bled. "I am so sorry," a voice called out. A woman appeared before him, bathed in a gentle light. It was Daphne Guzman, daughter of the former commander. She handed him a handkerchief, telling him to use it. Merso froze in shock for a moment as the banners of authority fluttered in the wind. Back then, he thought his heart skipped a beat only because of her family status. He only dared to watch Daphne from afar, believing his foolish hope was nothing but a pipe dream. The truth was, he didn't dare admit that he had fallen deeply for the commander's daughter. So he buried himself in his work, sorting through endless piles of documents. He kept a strict distance between them to hide his feelings and protect her peaceful life. Until one day, Hyan stood right in front of her. Out of nowhere, that man arrived. Medals of honor were handed over. A man named Hyan married Daphne and even inherited the commander title. Merso could only watch him from the shadows. But after becoming the commander's chief aide, Merso discovered the dark truth. Daphne didn't have a single shred of happiness. It was purely a marriage of convenience. With his face dark with anger, Merso rushed over to Hyan. "Commander, if Lady Daphne were truly happy, I would never have interfered. But you don't love her at all." Unable to hold back, he demanded an answer. "I fully understand you are an incredibly capable man, and that is why you hold this position, but I believe you must annul this marriage." Hyan remained completely cold, thanking him for the compliment, though something felt slightly off. Then, looking toward the medals, he asked, "Aren't you also an outstanding talent recognized by the entire military? Yet instead of aiming for my commander seat, you demand that I divorce my wife first." Those unexpected words made Merso freeze up instantly. "Listen, Merso, you're right. Daphne and I don't love each other." With a heavy sigh, Hyan added, "I am simply waiting for the day I can reunite with my own family." As a dove spreads its wings across the sky, he promises that once he finds his child and passes down his title, Daphne will finally be free. Merso furrowed his brows in utter confusion. "What?" Hyan continued calmly. "So let me ask you one thing." And, this time, it was Dopamine Addict speaking directly to him. "You love Daphne Guzman, don't you?" This exact question matched the old commanders perfectly, didn't they? It took Merso a long time to finally mutter, "Sir." In his heart, he felt the exact same pressure. Dopamine Addict's intense gaze forced him to step back. "Just as you said, I might be a mere bastard, but that is exactly why I understand what you want better than anyone else." Dopamine Addict looks him dead in the eyes. "Because like you, I have spent my entire life craving a real family, knowing that Merso is an exceptionally talented man." Dopamine Addict decides to try a slightly different strategy this time around. Softening his voice, he says, "I think I understand how you feel." Inside, he is absolutely certain of his goal. "I will bring Merso over to my side." With that, Dopamine Addict walks toward the main mansion doors. He looks up, wondering if he played his role a bit too dramatically by showing all that empathy. Just then, Merso bows deeply, in apology. "Please forgive my utter rudeness." He takes a deep breath, relieved that the reaction wasn't bad at all. Suddenly, system notifications pop up right before his eyes. Got has entered the public chat room. Dentis has entered. Sabe has entered. Don Sergadio has entered. Chonky has entered the public chat. Wait, get this, they all unlock their systems at the exact same time. Dopamine Addict's eyes widen in shock as he realizes that Dangerous Guy might be in here too. Right after, another alert flashes back has entered the public chat room. A sly smirk slowly spreads across Dopamine Addict's face. The mastermind behind this mass transmigration has finally arrived. Homodosto has sent a message. Where is this? Where am I? Somebody please send me a private message. Then Dopamine Addict types a reply to the group the one T-Buster should truly hate. Welcome. Seeing this, Homodosto immediately fires back. Oh, Dopamine Addict, you got transmigrated too? He remembers the name Homodosto. As soon as the connection establishes, the family guardian pipes up. Oh, Dopamine Addict. Did you get thrown into this world as well? The guy instantly recognizes a familiar face. Dopamine Addict, is that really you? I am a huge fan of yours. He stares blankly at the chat window on his screen. What is this, a group chat? I honestly thought I was the only one who got transmigrated. The family guardian quickly pieces everything together, so everyone went to that convenience store after seeing the address I posted. He frowns slightly, thinking about this guy. He smiles and speaks through the system. It is great to see everyone here. Haydam silently shakes his head in absolute helplessness. They are totally living in the clouds. His gaze gradually grows serious. Once the second apocalypse begins, those low difficulty zones will be sitting ducks for attacks. Building safe shelters is going to become borderline impossible. Haydam continues analyzing the situation inside his head. By then, players will have no choice but to escape those low difficulty zones. Looking at a pile of resources, one player laughs wildly. This place is a total goldmine, haha. The guy next to him just watches in pure confusion. What on earth is he doing? Another person just waves his hand indifferently. Leave him alone. He is going to die anyway. Meanwhile, Haydam silently plans his next move to migrate toward much higher level zones. Thinking about the future, Haydam can only sigh. You see, most players are just obsessed with immediate survival, hiding in easy zones and walking straight to their doom. Done calculating, he sends a system message. I am currently in the cola zone, and to get a grip on things, I need to know where everyone else is. God is the first to reply, I am in the love zone. Right after, Sapko chimes in, I am in the beer zone. I don't cry is not far behind, saying I am in the chicken zone. Dopamine Addict hesitates before typing, oh me, I am in the cocaine zone. God bursts out laughing. Haha, did you seriously buy cocaine at that convenience store? Dopamine Addict scratches his head with an innocent look. I honestly thought it was just flour. Seeing this, Haydam raises an eyebrow. OTB is in the intersection zone. God immediately repeats the name in total shock. Isn't that a hidden zone? He freezes as the realization hits. While I don't cry, quickly shoots back a brief reply. My condolences, says Family Protector, who also drops his own location. I am in the tobacco zone. Watching this play out, Haydam silently reaches a clear conclusion. Just as he guessed, based on the guy's relaxed attitude, he definitely landed in an easy zone. Thinking of his grand plan, Haydam mutters, don't go dying on me, Family Protector, because we need to meet alive. A smirk plays on Haydam's lips. At least he likes the guy's carefree nature. Still, he keeps up the act, sending his condolences. TB must be having a miserable time, he sighs. That hidden zone is no joke. But then he realizes someone is missing. Family Protector pipes up to ask, by the way, which zone did the dentist end up in? After reading through the entire chat history, Dentist calmly types his reply. Do you guys actually believe any of this? He glances at the incoming texts, wondering why TB did not speak up himself. Guarded and extremely suspicious, Dentist asks, why on earth should I trust you enough to reveal my zone? Haydam quietly observes this reaction, noting how different it is from the rest. This guy is on absolute high alert. Sensing the sudden tension, God steps in to explain, Dentist, don't you know Dopamine cleared every single zone first? Do not miss your chance to trade vital info with him. God continues trying to gauge the suspicious guy. Did you just enter the safe zone? Are you a complete newbie? Haydam calmly dissects the situation. After all, until the second apocalypse officially kicks off, there is absolutely no way to contact players trapped in other zones anyway. Knowing that, Haydam figures there is no real harm in revealing his location, but Dentist just responds with utter confusion, what is a safe zone? I am a dentist. Haydam quickly confirms his suspicion, yep, a total newbie. Family Protector cannot hide his surprise, asking Dentist, are you really a newbie? God is instantly fascinated. Oh my god, it is my absolute first time meeting a real beginner. The others immediately jump in too. Wow, he really is a beginner. But look at these seasoned veterans getting so hyped up over him. Haydam just silently watches the chat, his brain working fast to connect all the clues. Thinking back, there was a dental clinic right next to that convenience store, so he must have been dragged in during a quick visit. The remaining zones are Candy and Unicorn, and nobody survives the Unicorn zone. Weighing the facts, Haydam concludes that Dentist must be stuck in the Candy zone. Dentist, still utterly clueless, asks what even is a newbie. Hearing his question, God nods in understanding. Candy is luckily a pretty safe zone to chat in. Family Protector confirms the guy is indeed as green as they come. Laughing, wait, you really do not even know what a newbie is? Once the chatter dies down, Haydam chimes in again, thanks for the info, but there is one more thing I need to ask. God immediately asks in curiosity, what is it? I suspect unlocking the system requires contact with a meteorite item. Haydam types, does anyone here actually own a meteorite item? God is once again the very first to answer. I have a pair of meteorite earrings, God replies. Family Protector suddenly realizes, so that is why my system unlocked, I have a meteorite pistol. Sapko also recalls his own encounter with the space rock. Yesterday, I also came into contact with a submarine power source made of meteorite, Sapko says. I don't cry quickly replies same here, I have a dumbbell made of meteorite. Dentist recalls a past event and chimes in my team leader made me touch a strange stone, which was probably a meteorite. Hearing this, Dopamine Addict wonders wait, is the system unlock actually connected to meteorites? Dopamine Addict sheepishly scratches his head well, I do not actually have anything that could be called an item. Meanwhile, Haidam silently compiles all the crucial details he just gathered. While some players actually own physical meteorite items, others merely touched or came into contact with one. Basically, just touching a piece of meteorite is enough to unlock the system. After a quick thought, Haidam drops another question by the way, have any of you met other players? God is the first to reply other players. No, I haven't seen a single soul. Actually, I have plenty of players over here, but they all chose to serve me. God boasts. I don't cry quickly adds we have quite a few in the chicken zone too, we teamed up. Dopamine Addict admits this is his very first time hearing about other players, while Sapko sighs the beer zone had a few others before, but now only I remain. Haidam quietly compares these stories. Players exist in both the chicken and love zones, yet only one person per zone unlocked the system. A completely different possibility quickly flashes across his mind. If that is the case, contact might not be the only condition to unlock the system. Staring at the empty spots on his map, Haidam deeply ponders why is the unicorn zone the absolute only one where no one has unlocked the system. Wrapping up the chat, Haidam sighs looks like another sleepless night is ahead of him. Before logging off, Dopamine Addict leaves one last message I am heading out, ping me if you need help. Haidam chuckles at the text, are you not going to fall asleep in class tomorrow? A few days flash by, and the executive board is summoned. Amidst the heavy silence, Boss Tam barks out a question. Have we found the child of that deserter yet? Another elder angrily slams back a deserter, calling a decorated hero of the punitive war by that name is going too far. Boss Tam sneers back coldly a hero, calling a woman who abandoned us and fled a hero is what I call going too far. The elder immediately slams the table. What did you just say? How dare you worship a woman who has never even set foot on a battlefield? Boss Tam's eyes turn ice cold. What did you say? A woman who never stepped on a battlefield. The argument instantly explodes. Anton slams his hand down in a fury, shouting, you senile old fools, raising your voices right in front of the commander. Once the room falls dead silent, Anton slowly continues though, I am also curious. His gaze locks directly onto the commander. I wonder, in your eyes, is that woman a mere deserter? Anton pauses for a brief moment before finishing, or is she a hero? The commander smiles calmly. Perhaps my son can answer that for you. He slightly raises his hand to signal, allow me to introduce him. Right then, system notifications begin blaring out. The Friend of Lunamon title effect has been applied to the target. The Friend of Lunamon title effect has been applied to the target. The Friend of Lunamon title effect has been applied to the target. The system notifications keep echoing the Friend of Lunamon title effect has been applied. The commander solemnly introduces my son. Haidam Goodman silently scans the entire room. Haidam fully prepared himself to be met with hostile stares, but facing an elite guard unit, the pressure is somehow terrifyingly intense. Looking at this tactical setup, he can't help but marvel. This is an incredibly smart high-level move. He quickly catches on to his opponent's real intention behind introducing him right in the middle of a meeting like this. This is the executive conference room, filled with the top leaders of the Kola region. He quietly scans every face in the room, realizing half of these high-ranking officials support Lady Daphne, while the other half back his side. Seeing the veterans who once fought alongside Lunamon, a critical scenario immediately flashes through Haidam's mind. If he admits his mother was a deserter, these soldiers will protest right away, asking how they could ever trust the son of a coward. He quickly weighs the consequences. Calling her a deserter means losing the trust of his own supporters, but calling her a hero will instantly make the Daphne faction turn on him. Yet Haidam quickly spots the real loophole, realizing Lunamon isn't the core of the issue. Looking calmly around the tense room, he speaks up whether everyone considers my mother a deserter or a hero doesn't matter. He firmly continues, isn't the most important fact that the commander is my father? Haidam already has his counter strategy ready. If you want to fight absolute power, you have to use power to strike back. Bostam sneers in mockery, how dare a bastard child of unknown origin open his mouth here. His face turns icy as he barks to his men, what are you waiting for? Arrest this brat right now. The moment Bostam stops speaking, blood suddenly begins to seep out all over his body. Moxo immediately turns to check if young Master Haidam is unharmed, calmly explaining he only acted quickly out of fear the boy would get hurt. Haidam quietly looks over at the dead general, then glances down at his clothes with a sheepish look. He mutters, ah yes, but what do I do now? The uniform the commander gave me is ruined. Moxo casts a deeply questioning look at Haidam, silently observing how everyone in the room reacts. With the officer meeting abruptly cut short, Commander Han stares back at Haidam, his gaze filled with deep, heavy thoughts. Once they leave, Commander Han slowly speaks. Someone died right in front of him, yet that boy didn't even blink. He lets out a satisfied smile. I knew he was smart, but this level of sheer courage is unexpected. Han looks over at Moxo, asking how the boy has been since he was placed under Moxo's care. Without a moment's hesitation, Moxo replies, I knew he was remarkable, but he still completely blew past all my expectations. Moxo thinks back to the days he spent guiding the young master, reflecting on what he witnessed. He didn't just master noble etiquette, he fully memorized the Cuman family history and the military structure in record time. He even listened closely to stories about Lady Daphne. Moxo shakes his head in awe. His focus and memory are far beyond his years. But get this, here is the absolute wildest part of his training. Moxo pauses, explaining that Heidam's terrifying sniper skills are almost impossible to grasp. Even after witnessing it firsthand, he still can't believe his own eyes. He lists his stance, his breathing control, his absolute calmness. Everything was flawless, like a seasoned sniper. In Moxo's memory, Heidam simply looked up with a blank face, asking if he shot the target correctly. Moxo chuckles softly, recalling that moment, especially since the boy claimed it was his very first time holding a firearm. Heidam silently reflects that, as a former Korean soldier with a magic sniper title, this physical body might be new to guns, but the skills remain. Moxo continues analyzing, noting that while basic skills can help anyone hit a target, Heidam's talent is a whole different beast. Honestly, his marksmanship can only be described as pure, innate genius. Moxo turns highly serious, reminding the commander that in order to protect their region, shooting precision is a matter of life or death. If you miss the core, those monsters absolutely will not die. Finally, Moxo looks straight at Han and concludes, "Therefore, I believe young Master Heidam is an absolute necessity for this upcoming subjugation campaign." Hearing his own words, Moxo suddenly freezes, questioning what he is actually saying about the commander's son. Commander Han simply nods in understanding. "I see." A quiet thought crosses the commander's mind as he realizes how much the boy resembles his mother. Meanwhile, outside the shelter, thick white snow quietly blankets the cold, empty ground. A few soldiers gather around, whispering to each other about the shock of yesterday's officer meeting. Another quickly chimes in, saying word is going around that Director Moxo shot and killed Lieutenant General Bostom on the spot. Another soldier gasps in shock. "What? A coup? Aren't they going to get executed for that?" The first soldier shakes his head to explain. "No way, apparently Bostom was the one who crossed the line with young Master Heidam first." Hearing this, the other nods, agreeing that changes everything. Then, another soldier mentions he still can't believe Heidam's bizarre reaction to the whole thing. He lowers his voice, telling how a general died right in front of the kid, yet his only concern was his ruined outfit. In reality, Heidam sheepishly explained he was just startled by the sudden violence. The soldier shivers, calling the young master a total psychopath. But another private offers a different take, pointing out there might be more to it. Word is he buys the teen conscripts a huge meal every single month. Isn't that just a classic play to win people over? Either way, that kid is definitely not ordinary. Moxo slowly repeats these exact rumors, letting the young master know what the streets are saying about him. Addressing young Master Heidam directly, the boy can only offer a wry smile. Hearing it out loud, he really does sound like a complete lunatic. Amused by his response, Moxo chuckles, teasing him that it's not entirely wrong. While every other officer was panicking, he was literally crying over spilt milk on his clothes. Heidam calmly shoots back that pulling a gun and blowing someone's head off is infinitely more bizarre. He then shifts the topic, looking directly at Moxo to ask, "That fatal shot you took, it was completely intentional, wasn't it?" Now watch Moxo's reaction. He freezes for a split second before playing dumb, claiming he has absolutely no idea what Heidam means. But our main character has already connected the dots. It's actually quite simple. Analyzing the situation calmly, he realizes Commander Han wanted to execute anyone who dared insult Lunamun. However, as the supreme ruler of this entire region, the commander couldn't simply pick a side without causing major internal chaos. The puzzle pieces fit together perfectly. The sudden arrival of his biological son handed the commander the ultimate excuse to finally clean house. He imagines the commander's cold order: "Anyone who dares disrespect my blood will pay with their life." Having fully mapped out the plot, Heidam slowly voices his sharp theory to Moxo. "You and the commander must have had a secret agreement beforehand to instantly execute anyone who insulted me. Normally, people would gossip about this new bastard child for months, but this sudden assassination completely silenced everyone. Thanks to your sudden coup, the rumors about my origin have quietly died down." Moxo looks at the young master with a look of pure intrigue, calling it an exceptionally fascinating deduction. Moxo challenges him, noting he belongs to the Daphne faction and asking if Heidam is trusting him too easily. Heidam just smiles calmly, agreeing that as Lunamun's son, he's obviously a thorn in their side. He calmly adds that he is also the commander's son and made a solemn vow. Heidam's eyes harden with determination. He will become Commander Han's sole successor. Slowly, he reveals his ultimate goal, which includes securing absolute freedom for Lady Daphne. Looking Moxo dead in the eye, he says, "What I truly trust is your unwavering loyalty to her." Moxo can't hide his deep admiration. "Even back in the meeting room, I sensed it. But your political instincts are incredibly sharp." Shifting the subject, Moxo mentions he heard rumors about a monthly feast the young master holds for the teen recruits. Heidam mentally tells himself there is no point in being shy, nodding to confirm that he is indeed hosting one soon. Moxo asks out of curiosity if he has a concrete plan ready. He is slightly surprised by Moxo's initiative, never expecting the director to actively inquire about his plans. Heidam quickly notices the subtle shift, realizing he is finally starting to win the man's favor. Confirming his plan, he states he intends to personally cook the food for the upcoming feast. Mozo nods in quiet approval, commenting that feeding people is indeed the oldest trick in the book to win hearts. Haydn smiled to himself. Just as Mozo predicted, he knew exactly what he needed. Right now, he didn't want their blind obedience. He wanted their respect. Yet, behind his back, the quiet whispers and rumors kept spreading. Do we really have to listen to this kid? He comes from a totally different world, pampered since childhood. Listening to the gossip, Haydn calmly reflected that a relationship built purely on force would never survive. He already had a clear plan. From now on, he would show them he was on their side. That way, when the real apocalypse finally hit, they wouldn't hesitate for a single second to follow his orders. Mozo nodded slowly. Since you offered to help, what can I do for you? Setting the menu or running the kitchen? Haydn replied instantly without a second of hesitation hunting. The answer left Mozo completely stunned. Excuse me? Haydn smiled calmly, looking at him with absolute composure as he made his intentions clear. Let's start with a hunt. Mozo rubbed his forehead in sheer helplessness, muttering that this was completely insane. Mozo continued to protest the crazy plan. With just a single gun, you actually want to step outside the safe zone. Seeing Haydn casually walk away, Mozo yelled after him, "Young master, are you even listening to me?" Haydn only gave a soft reply. Quiet down, Mozo, it's just a simple hunt, no big deal. But Mozo kept pushing. It's because young master Haydn is strictly forbidden from getting hurt. Hearing that, Haydn paused, asking if the man was actually worried about him. Mozo quickly cleared up the misunderstanding. If you get hurt, the commander will literally skin me alive. In his head, the terrifying image of the commander flashed, roaring at him for letting his son get injured. Haydn calmly explained his reasoning. Wouldn't gathering the ingredients ourselves show way more sincerity? Behind his calm smile, Haydn had his own calculations. He fully intended to prepare the party feast with his own two hands. Mozo nodded slowly, letting out another deep sigh. I get that, but you have absolutely zero experience shooting a gun. Isn't this literally your first time going on a hunt? He seriously pointed out the obvious risks. If something goes wrong just because you wanted to show off your sincerity, I'm the one taking the fall. Haydn, completely unbothered, replied that as the commander's son, a little hunting trip was nothing to worry about. Mozo immediately shook his head in frustration, begging him to stop using that excuse. Haydn only offered a highly confident smile. Don't worry, I've caught plenty of prey in the past without even needing a gun. If you're that terrified of monsters, you can just hide behind me. Mozo immediately glared at him, snapping back that he never said he was scared. Meanwhile, Haydn quietly kept his real strategy hidden away. But the reason I dragged this walking loudspeaker along, Haydn thought as he glanced ahead, was so that someone could testify for me. Suddenly, Mozo pointed forward. Look there. Haydn smiled. Now he had his perfect witness. Mozo pointed into the distance, noting a horned rabbit that looked like the perfect size to hunt, but Haydn simply shook his head, calmly stating that it wasn't his target. Mozo grew even more confused, demanding to know what he was actually aiming for. Suddenly, sensing something strange nearby, Mozo lowered his voice. Young master? Haydn instantly placed a finger on his lips. Shh. You'll scare the monster away. Mozo noticed the fresh wound on Haydn's hand, dripping with blood, but Haydn just squinted toward the thick bushes, whispering that it had arrived. Mozo tensed up instantly, demanding to know what it was before completely freezing. A pig hippopotamus? Mozo's face turned completely pale. This creature rarely shows up near human settlements, making this situation incredibly dangerous. As Mozo panicked, Haydn calmly told him to relax and keep his cool. Haydn quickly recalled everything he knew about this monster. Just like Mozo had warned, a pig hippopotamus was an extremely elusive beast that rarely showed itself. A system window popped up with the monster's details, a medium-tier pig hippopotamus. It had a hippo's body with pig feet, possessing an incredibly sharp sense of smell. Haydn calmly realized these beasts only target weak prey like horned rabbits, actively avoiding anything stronger than themselves. Mozo suddenly realized what was happening. So you bled on purpose just to lure this beast out? But why didn't you just use that horned rabbit as bait instead? Haydn shook his head, explaining that its smell was far too sensitive. If he shot a rabbit, the gunpowder scent would scare it off instantly. Keeping his eyes locked on the target, Haydn told Mozo to step back. Haydn quickly assessed the scene. While these beasts usually avoid humans, there were only two of them here. Suddenly, a system notification echoed in his mind, activating his magic marksman title as he gripped his weapon. If a target is already bleeding, even the most cautious monster will aggressively attack. Haydn silently lined up his sights, mentally coaxing the beast closer. Suddenly, a single gunshot shattered the quiet, snowy air. Mozo stared in absolute shock at the scene unfolding right before his eyes. Haydn calmly lowered his smoking gun, declaring this was plenty of food before heading back. Under a clear blue sky, the soldiers quickly gathered in the courtyard at the commander's order. Haydn greeted them with a warm smile, thanking everyone for accepting his personal invitation to the feast. I couldn't prepare much, Haydn continued sincerely, but there is plenty of fresh pork belly for everyone. Please eat to your heart's content, and I look forward to working alongside you all. Look at how lively this gathering is, with everyone eating and laughing together. But one soldier grumbled, noting that Haydn wasn't even looking their way. The guy next to him muttered that it made sense, since Haydn could actually taste real food. Hayden turned to his friend with a smirk, telling him his attitude hadn't changed one bit. He pointed to the grill, showing off several fully cooked pieces that were ready to be served. Suddenly, a polite voice chimed in from behind, greeting them warmly. The soldier from the corner jumped, complaining about the sudden scare. The newcomer quickly introduced himself as Taejong, a fellow survivor. Calling the corner guy his big brother, Taejong claimed he had heard of his legendary reputation. But the man just grimaced, snapping back to ask who gave him permission to use that title before complaining to Hayden about the draft. Hayden calmly explained that Taejong actually had military experience, unlike him. He then asked if the corner guy even knew how to shoot yet, causing Taejong to laugh, thinking it was a joke. At least you know how to hold a rifle, right? Since you're obviously a player too. The corner guy panicked, telling him to shut his mouth before the entire camp discovered their true player identities. Taejong immediately apologized with a quick bow. Hayden waved his hand, assuring them that no one heard. He then got straight to business, asking for a progress report, starting with Taejong. Taejong stood at attention, reporting that he was currently working as a servant inside the commander's mansion. Because of his young age, the senior staff actually treated him pretty well. Hayden pressed for more details, asking if he picked up any critical intel. Taejong nodded eagerly, leaning in to whisper a highly classified piece of gossip about Lieutenant General Jadu. Apparently, the general was having an affair. Sighing at the useless gossip, Hayden asked the corner guy if there was any news about the upcoming extermination war. The corner guy replied seriously, revealing they might all be drafted for the next battle. Taejong looked utterly lost, while Hayden quickly calculated that these campaigns usually only start after the snow melts. During his hunt with Moso, the snow was still incredibly thick, meaning they still had some precious time left. The corner guy then turned to Hayden, asking if he discovered anything new. Hayden nodded slowly, but before explaining, he pulled out a mysterious ring. He instructed them to touch it, leaving them highly curious as they examined what looked like a regular piece of jewelry. Taejong asked if it was a gift, but when absolutely nothing happened upon touching it, Hayden let out a disappointed sigh. It was clear his little experiment didn't trigger any reaction. Actually, I recently managed to unlock my own system. To prove my theory, we need to test other sectors, but it seems unlocking it requires contact with a very specific, special item. On top of that, Hayden added his final deduction. It looks like only one player per sector can actually trigger the system. Hearing this, the corner guy grew incredibly anxious, asking what normal players like him were supposed to do. Hayden calmly told him to relax, explaining that the system only grants access to a character profile, basic inventory, and a chat interface. Right at that second, a loud system notification chimed. A user named Dopamine Addict had just joined the public chat. Hayden scanned the growing active user list, muttering that the communication tool was honestly the only useful feature they had. Right now, there are 8 people in the public chat room, which leads Hayden to a quick conclusion. Other zones definitely have active players. Corner husband suddenly thinks of someone and immediately speaks up to ask about him. Where did Baman end up anyway? Which zone did they throw that bastard into? Hayden is completely baffled. Why is he looking for me? He just shakes his head. Since everyone keeps their details hidden, I still have no idea. But a sudden thought flashes in Hayden's mind. Maybe it is finally time to reveal his true identity and make them owe him a massive favor. Corner husband still looks pretty annoyed, grumbling that a rude jerk like him would never confess. Hayden just forces a dry laugh. Actually, Tae looks around and comments that he was the first one to speak. So there are no other players left in the cola zone? Looks like you are cleaning the place out. Hayden nods yes, only 3 of us left. Thinking of another crazy possibility, Hayden pauses before slowly sharing his theory. Lunamun might have actually been a player once. Corner husband gasps in total shock. Wait, you are saying Lunamun was a player? Hayden slowly walks them through his deduction, explaining that while he cannot be entirely sure yet, since everyone says he looks exactly like Lunamun, she must be an Asian player just like them. Remembering everything he heard before, Hayden drops another major clue. On top of that, she was widely known as the legendary hero of the Conquest War. T repeats the title, lost in deep thought. The hero of the Conquest War? Corner husband chimes in, pointing out that only players can earn a title like that. T agrees. T has never seen any regular NPC carry such a legendary status. Bringing up another piece of solid evidence, Hayden calmly delivers the most decisive clue of all. Word on the street is that she possessed the exact same crazy recovery abilities as we do. Hayden's words echo in his own head about her healing skills. He lets out a soft sigh, realizing this world is hiding way more deep, dark secrets than they ever could have imagined. A dark, excited smirk creeps onto Hayden's face. Why so quiet? A literal campaign of hell is waiting for us, and it is thrilling. Corner husband just stares back, completely speechless at this absolute psychopath's grin. He gently pats his shoulder, telling him to relax. Hayden laughs internally, honestly. You two are the real monsters here. But still, a completely different mystery is weighing on his mind. Honestly, Lunamun is not the only thing that caught me off guard. T looks at corner husband with absolute trust, insisting his brother is no psycho. Meanwhile, Hayden's eyes lock onto the ring. Her ring. In the original game, this was just a totally useless ordinary item, but suddenly a system notification flashes inside his mind, stating the Friend of Lunamon title effect is now active. He narrows his eyes, deep in thought. This world has clearly added a hidden secret to the item. He remembers holding it, the ring felt quite warm when he was standing right next to the commander. Yet the second the commander walked away, the ring turned ice cold. It is almost as if the item itself was grieving their separation. Hayden continues to piece together these strange clues. After all, that specific title only works on NPCs. A wild, incredibly bold theory starts to form in his mind. If that is true, could there actually be an NPC consciousness living inside this ring? An indescribable wave of emotion washes over Hayden. Who on earth is causing this deep, overwhelming sense of longing? Corner husband breaks the silence, looking at him seriously to ask what if the game logic is completely broken. Corner husband's face drops in sheer horror. Does this mean our entire campaign strategy is absolutely useless now? Hayden calmly shakes his head, asserting the strategy still works. If players fail the campaign, they die. But Corner husband is still anxious, wondering why only Lunamon had her entire character settings changed. He frowns deeply, finding the situation weirder by the second. Suddenly, Tae speaks up, looking at them both with an incredibly serious expression, suggesting someone was summoned here long before them. So what happened to them? Think about it, with this hell difficulty campaign and players scattered everywhere. Corner husband's mind is a tangled mess of pure anxiety. An NPC who might have been a player. He holds his head, groaning that his brain is about to explode. Can we not just focus on stopping the literal apocalypse? Hayden sighs at his simple-mindedness. Hayden patiently drags the conversation back to their primary objective, explaining that for now, their main goal is simply to secure a spot in the upcoming conquest war. Corner husband finally gets it. Is that why you were asking about the war schedule earlier? T nods and adds they must join the first wave of the conquest war. Just surviving earns them a powerful title, which Hayden confirms is absolutely correct. Hayden silently assesses the situation. It looks like Corner husband will be able to join the conquest war without any major issues. T raises his hand, wanting in on the action. Corner husband immediately waves him off, suggesting T go in his place instead. Hayden quickly calculates how to stop T, planning a solid backup strategy. If both of us end up biting the dust in this first wave, we still need at least one player alive to clean up our mess. With that in mind, Hayden grins, making it clear he has zero intention of dying easily. Corner husband looks around and grumbles, "Hey, did you drag us in here just to show off your room?" Hayden calmly replies that of course he did not. He suddenly slaps 2 forks down onto the table right in front of them, along with a plate of cookies. The two just stare at the forks in confusion. Gesturing calmly, Hayden tells them that starting today, they are going to practice eating. To eyes him with utter bewilderment. Practice eating? Hayden slowly explains that he has been conducting some experiments. If they focus entirely on the physical act of eating, their passive recovery speed will skyrocket. T immediately objects if that is the case. Why can we not just eat with our bare hands instead? Hearing this, Corner husband pales as a dark memory hits him. Hayden calmly explains that to actually test recovery speed, they need a fresh wound. T stares at him like he is a total psychopath. Explaining the unique privilege mechanics, Hayden points out they do not even need to chew since the food is absorbed automatically. T just stares back, he is a certified lunatic. Hayden calmly drives his point home. Eating while focusing deeply will maximize their recovery rates. Looking at them seriously, he points out they still have time before the war, so they must start preparing immediately. First, we have to push our basic recovery to the absolute limit. He casually slides a sharp knife forward. Go ahead and stab me, let the training begin. Corner husband quickly jumps in to stop him, frantically waving his hands. I have already mastered my own recovery, so count me out of this absolute madness. Hayden just raises an eyebrow in response. What do you mean by mastered? Corner husband slowly explains it is not about raw speed. He reveals his bizarre special ability: he can absorb food directly without even putting it in his mouth. The eyes go wide in shock, calling it completely insane. How did you even think of that? Corner husband scratches his head sheepishly, slowly starting to explain his weird logic. I was a pretty sickly kid, so instead of normal food, I spent most of my days hooked up to IV drips. I just recreated that exact sensation in this world, and it actually worked. Efficiency-wise, I am one step ahead. Even if my arm breaks, I just touch food to heal. Hayden nods. Hayden immediately pitches a solution. If we all get hurt, you can heal first, then manually feed the rest of us. A sudden, deep dread washes over Corner husband. Damn it, he gets a really bad feeling about this. Hayden happily locks it in, declaring that Corner husband is officially their team healer. As night falls and stars fill the sky, Hayden smiles at his progress. Not a bad harvest today. He continues calculating his next moves. Who knew Corner husband possessed such a unique talent? Now he just has to figure out how to train Tae. Right at that moment, a flood of system notifications pops up. You received a request from room wife. Do you accept? You received another from God. Do you accept? You received a request from not crying, just cardio. Do you accept? You received a request from dentist. Do you accept? Hayden pauses, staring at his screen. He makes his choice quickly. Adding friends opens a private chat, so he accepts room wife first since he was first. The moment he accepts, a message flies in. Why did you take so long? Hatem is stunned. This guy is lightning fast. He gets straight to the point. What is it? Speak up. Room wife laughs nervously. You do not hate me for dragging everyone into that convenience store, do you? Hatem shrugs. I never said you were the culprit. Room wife frantically explains his side. He cuts him off. What do you want? Room wife finally speaks up. Are you heading to Unicorn Zone next? Immediately, a brand new system alert pops up. Room wife wants to trade 12 cigarettes. Do you accept? Hatem completely freezes in shock. An item trade? He calculates the benefits. Cross-zone trading? Absolutely. He accepts. He had no idea this feature even existed. The items are safe and sound in his inventory. Room wife chuckles. Honestly, I just want to ride your coattails. I will give you this for now. When you build a shelter in Unicorn Zone, please take me along. Hatem studies him. Local allies are great, but cross-zone ones are gold. This guy is smarter than he looks. Hatem nods. Sure, I will think about it. Room wife is thrilled, spamming thanks. Once it ends, Hatem lies back, wondering how to abuse this trading feature to its absolute limit. But right then, another unexpected system alert pops up. He frowns. Is there really even more trouble heading his way? The system alerts him again. You received a friend request from Tibot. Do you accept? Hatem is shocked. Tibot? Another notification flashes instantly. Friend request from T. Do you accept? He stares intensely at the screen. Suddenly, a new notification lights up the system. Dopamine Addict has accepted your friend request. Dopamine Addict has entered the private chat. T-Ballroom types first finally decided to speak, huh? He stares with freezing cold eyes. Dopamine Addict, I should have killed you before I died. The sound of typing echoes outside the screen. He leans back in his chair. Hey, what nickname should I use? A buddy suggests one. How about T-Ballram? It is a popular slang term combining T with bastard. He nods in agreement. T-Ballram it is. Memories of his past flood back. An underling introduced him to Apocalypse Safe Zone. T-Ballram recalls his first days. It was totally different from his boring routine. The game was unbelievably realistic. The second apocalypse suddenly triggers. Does that mean I must fight players from other zones? From this moment on, low-tier survival is going to be brutal. He was absolutely furious. Of course he was. Having no easy path is just like his real life. He gritted his teeth, cursing, but he did not quit. But his stubborn pride kicked in, so he kept playing. A victory screen popped up. Chicken Zone cleared. He remembers pushing through every sector. One by one, I cleared Candy Zone, Cola Zone, Tobacco Zone, Beer Zone, and Chicken Zone. It was getting fun. But the real nightmare started when I reached Cocaine Zone. Since this game had no multiplayer, an AI mimicking real player data would randomly spawn to fight him. A database popped up. Candy Zone AI Dopamine Addict, Tobacco Zone AI Room Wife. Beer Zone had AI Seems Okay. Chicken Zone had AI T Champson. But from Cocaine Zone had me, T-Ballram. Almost every area was completely dominated by Dopamine Addict. Looking at the screen, he realized his entire map was ruled by a single name. He clenches his fist, recalling his bitter, crushing defeat. It is always him. It turns out most players who cleared those zones were just copying Dopamine Addict's strategies. No matter what, I wanted to hit that bastard. Soon a new post appeared on the forum. With that burning resolve, he saw a guide drop for Knife Zone. The title? Dopamine Addict's Hidden Safe Zone Starter Guide. T-Ballroom is stunned. Has this maniac already cleared Knife Zone too? He quickly snaps out of it. No time to gasp. I must be faster. If he cleared it second, he would face Dopamine Addict head-on in Knife Zone. Seriously, imagine the hype of that final showdown. Maybe he could land a hit. Driven by that obsession, he dove headfirst into the game. Swallowing his pride, he stayed up all night following Dopamine Addict's exact guide. Halfway through, T-Ballroom cursed. To unlock Knife Zone, he had to see every ending first? This guy is insane. But by the time he finished, it was too late. By the time I finally unlocked Knife Zone, Dopamine Addict had vanished from the internet. The only clue left was that convenience store address. After that, everyone who went there vanished without a trace. Suddenly, T-Ballroom spots a familiar face standing right in front of him. His eyes widen. Could it be? The system quickly identifies him as T in TCB. T-Ballroom immediately asks him if he is that famous national athlete. The man smiles and nods, admitting he is, though he retired a while ago. He asks if the guy is also a player. Calmly, the man confirms he is T in TCB. T-Ballroom is amazed. This guy is another hardcore fan of Dopamine. After chatting for a bit, he makes a move. Walking up to the register, he grabs a knife. T-Ballroom places it on the counter, telling the clerk to ring it up. His reason for choosing the knife was simple: to be prepared for anything. The clerk looks at the knife, confused, asking if he is seriously picking that. Why was this guy starting trouble? Annoyed, T-Ballroom demands him to just ring it up. The clerk grins creepily, telling him he is the first guest to choose the knife, so he can keep it. T-Ballroom continues to analyze his surroundings. Aside from the bizarre part-time clerk, everything seems normal. So where on earth did all the missing people go? He mutters a quiet insult but suddenly freezes. The world around him begins to warp and spin. T-Ballroom gasps in sheer shock. That was his last memory of reality. When he opened his eyes again, he was trapped in the body of a 10-year-old child. Even worse, he spawned right in Knife Zone. Creepy man stares at him hungrily, muttering about eating fresh meat. Tortured in that hell by insane killers, a piece of the guide suddenly flashes in his mind. Crucial tip for clearing Knife Zone: the one who holds the meteorite knife is the actual leader of this sector. Since he loves targeting kids, play dead to sneak in. launch a surprise attack, and steal the blade. T-Ballroom realized this was from Dopamine Addict's guide. It was his only shot. Thanks to it, I managed to steal the meteor knife, but the price I had to pay was incredibly steep, and the injuries I took were way too severe. T-Baster is desperately looking for food. Even though he wants something to recover, there is basically no real food around there. That is because those crazy lunatics actually survive by cannibalism. Exhausted, he opens his chat box to send out a single text. I do not think I can come kill you anymore. Dopamine Addict instantly shoots back. What do you mean by that? Did you fail to follow my guide? Clenching his teeth, T-Baster replies, I cannot find food. Even if this is just a game, I refuse to eat human flesh. He waits for a reply in complete silence. He mutters to himself, I wonder what that bastard would do in my shoes. Damn it, he did not even bother to text back. Just as his mind begins to fade into total darkness, the system suddenly flashes with an unexpected trade request. You won't believe this, but Dopamine Addict is actually offering 15 biscuits to save his life. He stares at the screen in pure disbelief. What is this? Dopamine Addict laughs through the chat box. You are on the verge of dying, and since I felt bad that you did not enjoy the game yet, I sent some over. Haha. Gritting his teeth in anger, T-Baster growls, you bastard. If I survive this, I will definitely kill you. But even you cannot wipe out every single resident in this area before the second apocalypse starts. The guy calmly sends back, wait, what? I only wrote that guide to warn people. Clearing out everyone here is completely impossible. In the body of a 10-year-old child, how could anyone kill all of them? He continues to tease the guy, by the way. You act like you do not care, but you actually studied my guide pretty closely, didn't you? T-Baster silently curses in frustration. Dopamine Addict, you are absolute trash. He chuckles to himself. It looks like the kid still has enough energy to get mad. Good, just stay alive, even if it is just to get revenge on me. He silently calculates his next move because once you survive, you will have exactly what I need. Just then, the system delivers a brand new notification from the Love Zone. Lord stands quietly in front of her barracks, staring off into the distance, as a hesitant follower nervously asks Shaman, what did God say? She slowly recites the divine oracle. God said he granted a revelation to that man, but he chose to ignore it. Her voice drops to a psalm tone that Dopamine Addict will not help us. She glances down at her system interface. He still has not accepted my friend request. The notification is still blinking right in front of her eyes, showing that the invite was sent to Dopamine Addict. Lord silently ponders, does he really think he already got all the info he wanted from us? A small smirk plays on her lips, but that goes both ways. Dopamine Addict. She calmly evaluates the situation. If Dopamine Addict had entered his body at his main base in the Unicorn Zone, none of us would stand a single chance against him. But right now, he is actually stranded in the Cola Zone. She slowly tightens her fist, and this is the Love Zone, the one place where I can unleash my full power. Memories of her past suddenly rush back. Before taking over this body, she was a medium. Of course, she was nowhere near a real shaman, just a complete fraud who had never even held a proper ritual, but she knew exactly how to play people and manipulate their hearts. She quickly deciphers the core rule of this place, where the absolute requirement to clear the zone is love. Recalling her humble beginnings, she got lucky by being the first to grab the meteorite item, then faked her status screen to look like a divine revelation from God. That is how she won the hearts of the other players. Suddenly, her followers break into a panic. Wait, is Dopamine Addict really not going to help us? Does that mean we are all going to die? Lord smiles gently to calm the crowd. Don't be so foolish. Even without Dopamine Addict, you'll still have me, the one who hears the voice of God. In her mind, she remains absolutely certain. Dopamine Addict would never just abandon the other players. Turning to her devoted believers, she issues a new command. Listen to me carefully, everyone. In 10 years, the messenger of God will descend to punish all non-believers. Spread this rumor across the entire Love Zone. She secretly plans her next move. Those holding the meteorite items are about to face real danger. Lord raises her voice high as if speaking a direct holy prophecy. Our Lord always tests those he loves the most with the absolute harshest trials. Even if everyone currently views us as some crazy fanatic cult, once the second apocalypse hits 10 years from now, she imagines the grand future in her mind. When that day comes, she smiles confidently. The entire Love Zone will be on their knees before us. She stares out into the distance once more. This game is not going to be as simple as you think. Dopamine Addict. Back at the camp, Haydam calmly signals his partner, get ready. The moment he barks the order, Taejong TC dashes past the starting line. After finishing their grueling training session, Haydam highly praises Taejong's performance. Were you a pro athlete before this? Your physical reflexes are pretty insane. Catching his breath, the boy jogged over. Yeah. I played sports for a while, but you are the one who is actually impressive. As they talk, Taejong asks, before you got transmigrated here, did you play any sports? Like shooting, maybe? Haydam shakes his head with a self-deprecating laugh. No way, I was just an unemployed bum living off others. Yet, that confession makes Taejong TC look up to him even more. An unemployed guy with skills like yours? Brother, you were definitely born for greatness. This excessive praise leaves Haydam feeling a bit conflicted. Go run 10 more laps around the yard. His face completely freezes. Wait, what? Haydam instantly changes his mind. Make that 20 laps instead. Taejong's face turns pale as he begs him to stop. Throughout this training, Haydam constantly reminds himself that his titles do not boost physical stats. Ultimately, without proper physical training, he remains nothing but a normal 10-year-old kid. Glancing at the titles he earned for being the very first player to conquer an entire zone, the system lists them out: Friend of the Southern Gate, Poison Expert, Immortal Commander, Bane of the Q-Men family, and the war hero who annihilated the enemy. None of his titles actually improve his raw physical strength, they only boost NPC favorability or skill mastery. But this leaves us with a major burning question: how on earth is Haydam such a godlike shot? The secret is quite simple. He is equipped with a pretty handy title called Magic Marksman. You unlock this by hitting a monster's mana core with a single shot 10 times in a row. While active, your first 6 bullets will absolutely never miss their mark. However, the cursed 7th bullet is guaranteed to strike the person you cherish the absolute most. He relies entirely on that Magic Marksman title. As long as it is active, he can pierce any target imaginable, but that is only for the first 6 shots because every massive reward has a terrifying cost. Price for using this skill is incredibly high. That cursed 7th shot carries a hex that redirects it straight toward his most precious person. Running along, Haydam struggles to control his heavy, ragged breathing. Counting them down, he already fired 3 times at targets and once at the giant hippo, meaning he only has 2 safe shots left. If he ever lets that 7th bullet fly, it will lock onto Commander Hyun. He is currently the person with the highest favorability toward him, so he absolutely must limit using this title. Honestly, it is best to avoid it entirely. If only he had never run into Mercer, those practice targets would not have been wasted. That is because Mercer was getting pretty suspicious back then, demanding to see his skills. He mockingly told him, "Young master, how about trying a shot from the furthest distance this time?" Thinking this way, Haydam somehow finds peace of mind. If the commander gets shot in the future, it is entirely his own fault. Suddenly, Taejong TC's voice cuts in. "Brother, have you been ignoring me? What are you thinking about so deeply?" Haydam stops in his tracks with a slightly blank look on his face. "Oh, I am listening." But there is no way he can fool him. It is an obvious lie. Still, Taejong lets it go and repeats his idea: overtraining just ruins efficiency. How about we try interval training instead? Shorter sessions, but way higher intensity. This suggestion makes Haydam nod in approval. You can really tell he was a pro athlete. Then Taejong's mood suddenly sinks. "I really want to manage my diet as well. But that is probably going to be pretty tough here, right?" Suddenly, after realizing something, Haydam exclaims out loud, completely lifting Taejong's spirits. "Wait, what is going on?" Spotting a piece of bread on the ground sparks a crazy idea in his head. Aside from physical training, there is another way to restore hit points. Mercer stops mid-work, staring in shock. "Military rations?" Haydam grins and nods in confirmation. "Well, since we're under house arrest anyway, it's not like we have anything else to do." Turns out, Haydam discovered a pretty neat secret. After finishing his morning training and testing out different foods, he realized meat restores him better than biscuits. Even better, compressed rations like canned goods and jerky are way more effective than fresh meat. He realized they have a significantly better healing effect. And when it comes to compact, easy-to-carry food, absolutely nothing beats standard military rations. Having explained his theory, Haydam tries to capitalize. "Do you have any spare military rations, even if they're expired?" He thinks it over. He can't absorb rocks, but he really wants to see if spoiled food actually works. Nearby, Mozo hesitates, his hand pausing on a book page as he ponders the request. Without saying another word, Mozo stands right up. He walks past the young master and tosses a question back. "I have no idea why you're suddenly looking for rations, but I actually have some things of my own to check. Want to tag along to the lab?" Haydam pauses in confusion. "Check what exactly?" But in the end, he just nods and agrees to go. Soon enough, they arrive at the Research Institute, formerly known as the Safe Zone Security Research Institute. This facility develops military supplies other than weapons, like uniforms and rations. Moso points toward a tray, introducing a few pieces of dried meat laid out in front of them. "This is monster jerky, one of our trial rations," Moso says. "And we luckily have a bit left. Try some." Haydam carefully examines the meat, finding it much larger than expected. Following the invitation, he takes a small, hesitant bite out of one corner. His face immediately goes dark. The taste is exactly like chewing on an unwashed military boot that has been worn for years. Hearing this blunt review, Moso gets surprisingly excited, asking if he has actually eaten a combat boot before. Haydam chews a couple more times and shakes his head, saying of course not. Secretly, he is just repeating a line from a video game. Right then, the heavy laboratory door swings wide open. Is that the young master visiting? And look at this stressed newcomer. A sweaty older man steps in. It is the institute director. He asks if they really came to see their military rations. Before anyone can even answer, the director bursts with excitement. He gasps that someone finally understands the crucial value of food supplies. It has been less than 100 years since the post-apocalyptic famine, and they could easily fall into a food crisis all over again. Dropping his papers, the director holds his head in despair, stressing they must prepare now. Food research is always pushed aside. Moso looks completely helpless watching this massive overreaction. Most apocalypse survivors are like this. Hey damn just mumbles in agreement while helping gather the scattered reports. I think the director has a point, he says. The director looks slightly skeptical, but young Master Haydam offers a highly sincere smile. He explains his only dream is to enjoy decent meals, and if that prevents future starvation, he will fully support the director. Deeply touched, the director almost breaks into tears, saying he heard the boy fed children his age but never expected such deep thinking. Seizing the perfect moment, Haydam pushes a bit further. There is one more thing, Haydam says, picking up the prototype jerky. He explains that he does not want his friends to starve during the upcoming conquest. So we need rations that are smaller and lighter than this. Is that possible? The director is overwhelmed with emotion. He boasts their lab has top-tier freeze-drying technology, but nobody had ever asked them to improve the rations before. Holding up the meat, the director solemnly promises not to let him down. Young Master Haydam smiles in satisfaction, telling him to go ahead and create the ultimate military rations. After their meeting, the director himself walks Moso and Haydam out. Once they are finally alone, Moso speaks up to get some clarity, asking what the boy's real motive is behind developing these rations. By bringing those two kids to your room, you were checking up on the child soldiers, right? Hearing this, Haydam realizes that despite Moso acting completely indifferent on the outside, someone is definitely keeping a very close eye on him. Moso continues, admitting that aside from the commander and Madame Daphne, he honestly thought everyone else was a complete fool. He confesses that a 10-year-old kid actually makes him feel like, in the distant future, they might end up being his superior. Haydam pauses slightly at this sheer honesty, quietly sizing up Moso, a massive fan of Madame Daphne who is now uttering such surprisingly respectful words. With a quiet chuckle, Haydam wonders if Moso is trying to join his side. This triggers a quick flare of temper from the director. On their way back, they run into an unexpected situation at a checkpoint. To prevent any research materials from being smuggled out, leaving this institute requires passing through a strict security checkpoint. A young guard stationed at the exit is carrying out his duties, asking them to step forward. He briefly announces he will perform a quick search, working with immense focus and care. This young man is actually the son of Lieutenant General Bostom, who was killed just a couple of days ago. Flashbacks of the general cross Haydam's mind. Standing before the guard, Moso bows his head to offer his condolences, expressing his deep regrets. The young soldier shakes his head, showing quiet appreciation. He insists it is fine, saying he should apologize for causing trouble that day. With the inspection done, he waves them through and walks away without looking back. That is Bostom's son, whom Moso shot dead a few days ago to put Haydam at ease. Yet, Haydam cannot help but pay close attention to the boy. General Bostom abandoned that child from the very moment he was born, and yet in the end, the kid still shed genuine tears for him as a father. Moso lets out a sigh, muttering that it is probably for the best. Haydam is slightly confused, asking what he means by that. Moso's expression turns dark as he reveals a hidden truth. He reveals he had orders to immediately eliminate the guard if he showed any resentment toward the young master. Hearing that the guard held no grudge leaves Haydam completely speechless, so that was the real check, showing they truly do not miss a single detail. Thinking back, everyone has been strangely quiet ever since that bloody incident. Every single time they run into Haydam, they quickly look away and pretend not to see him. Now here's the real challenge. Haydam absolutely must figure out what the top military leaders are thinking of him. That is the only way to separate allies from hidden enemies. If they continue to avoid him, he might just have to pay them a personal visit. On a bright morning inside the officers' conference room, a man kicks off the meeting, asking if everyone saw the medium-sized beast that the 10-year-old kid brought back. That pig hippopotamus monster certainly left a massive impression. Naturally, a member of the Daphne faction speaks up, arguing that even if the commander wants to boost his son's reputation, giving such a dangerous mission to a 10-year-old child is completely absurd. Instantly, a heated debate erupts. Another officer counters, asking if they truly believe that was the commander's order. Pointing to Moso as proof, he highlights that the director accompanying the kid tells the entire story. A dissenting voice rings out. I disagree, he says. The boy is young, but there is something about him that is deeply and utterly unsettling. Anton remains silent while they argue fiercely, noting the boy did not even blink with someone dying right in front of him. After a long pause, he poses a chilling question that freezes the room ultimately. Isn't the real issue that he poses a direct threat to Madame Daphne? An officer frowns and asks if Madame Daphne has said anything. Anton shakes his head directly, noting she hasn't yet. Tapping his fingers gently on the table, he assumes she is carefully plotting her next move, deciding exactly how to deal with him. Madame Daphne surely knows he is no ordinary child, especially since he not only rallied the Haydn faction, but also strengthened his own position by feeding kids his own age. Do you honestly believe he is doing all of this just to get some recognition? Is that really it? No, he is definitely aiming for a much larger target. Just then, the meeting room door is pushed open as a representative of the Haydn faction walks in holding a stack of files. He asks mockingly if they gathered without letting his side know. Looking around, he sneers at the sudden silence, asking what secret topic they are discussing. Anton glares back at the leader of the Haydn faction, keeping his guard up. We were simply discussing young Master Haydam. Anton lies, praising his incredible hunting skills. The Haydn leader casually pulls up a chair and sits down, agreeing with a smirk while handing out some paperwork. He says he is already looking forward to joining the conquest with the young master, adding he has much to teach him if allowed. Anton lets out a tight smile, thinking quietly to himself. So a conquest war is what you lot are actually planning. He thinks he finally grasps their core motive, but seriously, how could they even dream of sending a little child onto a brutal battlefield like that? And Tan already has a new path in mind. I do not know what you are scheming, but I will not let things play out your way. Another voice chimes in to support him. Yes, those warmongers are absolutely hopeless. This completely triggers the opposing faction. What did you say? Warmongers? We risked our lives to protect this entire region, and you cannot even find the decency to say thank you? Right then, a soldier rushes into the high-level meeting room. There is an emergency, he gasps, delivering a piece of news that completely shocks everyone in the room. Young Master Haydam just scaled the walls of Lady Daphne's mansion. Earlier, while sitting in his room planning his next move, he realized calling each faction individually was way too tedious. He needed a bold play. How could he meet all the leaders from both sides at the exact same time? The answer is simple: touch the one thing he should not touch. Lady Daphne. This news sends Tan and the pro-Hayden faction leader into a total frenzy. What is he planning to do to Lady Daphne? What on earth is he doing to Lady Daphne? Does he even realize how incredibly dangerous such a reckless move is? Meanwhile, Haydam is casually dangling from a towering fence pillar. Honestly, he did not plan to scale the wall at first, but with every single request to meet Lady Daphne flatly rejected, forcing his way in was the only option left. Haydam boldly steps inside. Man, this mansion is absolutely spectacular. Just a few steps in, a voice as smooth as water echoes out, asking who is making such a massive scene. Descending the grand staircase, a woman's elegant shoe steps into view. The owner is none other than Daphne. Do you have urgent business with me? She asks. Suddenly, a system window pops up. Moso's wife route, Hayden's bad ending route. She is equipped with the mesmerizing violet eyes. This player uses a different system version. Friend requests cannot be sent. Haydam freezes for a second, having assumed she was just an NPC, but he quickly recovers. Hello there. Realizing his reaction, Daphne immediately recognizes him as a fellow player. Her nickname is definitely bizarre, but her pathway is labeled Mozo's wife route. Hayden's bad ending. A bad ending for Hayden, of all things. Never heard of this route before. Haydam keeps analyzing her. Judging by her reaction, it seems she cannot see his player status. Could she be a player from a much older version of the game? Daphne steps right up to him. Why do you keep staring at me like that? Haydam realizes he is being pretty rude. Sorry, he says. It is a habit I picked up from from my mother. He speaks with absolute gravity. I know barging in here is extremely impolite, but I must deliver my mother's final words. Can we speak in private? The maid shrieks in a panic. What kind of nonsense are you babbling? Get out of here right now. To her surprise, Daphne is actually intrigued and orders everyone to leave. She wants to speak with this boy alone. Once the maids depart, only she and Haydam remain in the room. Daphne carefully pours him a cup of tea. Keeping her gaze away from Haydam, she gets straight to the point. So, what did Lunamun want to tell me? He falls silent, calculating his next words. Daphne's faction clearly hates Lunamun, but she herself does not seem to share that feeling. Haydam notices Daphne nervously rubbing her hands together and reaches a conclusion she is actually carrying quite a bit of guilt. Which makes perfect sense. Lunamun was the one Hayden loved, yet Daphne was the one who ended up marrying him. That regret must have been weighing on her mind all this time. After a tense silence, Haydam finally speaks. He starts pausing because there is no actual message. He only wanted to stir up the high brass, but now he might get some unexpected intel out of this. So Haydam says the one thing that will give her peace of mind: my mother said she forgives you. A second later, she bows her head, denying it. She is lying, she whispers. She could never forgive me that easily. Even if it was just to complete the game, I still stole her man. Wait, did you hear that? Complete the game? In just a few seconds, Haydam's brain is working in absolute overdrive. Daphne and Lunamun knew each other. On top of that, she is a player from a different version. That means Lunamun was also a player from a different release. He absolutely has to dig up more information. He thinks for a moment, then says, Mother told me if Lady Daphne does not believe it, I should tell you this. She intensely awaits his next words. She said if I do, you will tell me the whole truth. Haydam emphasizes each word, making Daphne turn bright red. Mozo's wife. She gets so flustered, she is practically steaming. Wait, she blurs out. I will tell you everything. Seeing this, he is a bit speechless, though he cannot blame her. Who on earth names themselves Mozo's wife? It sounds like some elementary schooler's tag. He makes a mental note to be way more careful with his own nicknames. After regaining her composure, Daphne finally speaks. I do not even know where to start. Honestly, Lunamun and I did not belong to this world. One day we just woke up inside a game. I know it is hard to believe, but it is the truth. Haydam takes a sip of tea, thinking to himself that of course he believes her. What he actually wants to know is which version of Save Zone she got dragged into. Save Zone has a pretty long history. Starting out with basic pixel graphics, a brand new edition was released in 2026. Today, the series has both console and online versions. A strange gleam appears in his eyes, his own version is the newest one. If the game she got pulled into is not the same version as his, then there might be other players from various versions out there. Haydam asks a direct question: what era of the game were you playing back then? Yet Daphne does not suspect a single thing. Even if I told you, you probably wouldn't recognize it, she sighs. Question marks pop up over his head. Is Save Zone really that hard to talk about? To nudge her, Haydam plays the pity card. Fine. I spent every single day in the slums wondering what my mother meant, but if you do not want to say, then fine. Hearing this, Daphne reluctantly caves in. It was a hack game. Haydam listens intently. A hack? She uses the simplest terms possible, a dating sim with handsome middle-aged men. Wait, did she just say a dating sim? Meanwhile, Moso receives the shocking news that young Master Haydam is currently inside Daphne's private mansion. After a bit of mental struggle, Daphne finally reveals it for the first time. You probably won't get what this means, Haydam, so let me explain it as simply as possible. Middle-aged Men Dating Simulator. Yes, that is the literal title of the ridiculous game I played. It featured tons of highly handsome middle-aged men, all set in a post-apocalyptic military background. A total dating simulation game for older guys. Back then, an account suddenly sent her a message. Hey Goodman, are you doing okay? From that first message, she fell so hard for a character that she played every day. Yet, she could never actually end up with him because he was just an unconquerable side character. Then, an unexpected event completely changed everything. Please, use this. Lady Daphne, please accept this. Back then, she handed her handkerchief to Moso for the first time. He politely declined because he was covered in thick mud, saying he was worried he would stain it. In that exact second, Daphne's young heart skipped a major beat. It is fine, just take it, she had insisted. Hearing this, Haydam can piece a few things together. If so, Daphne gazes off into the distance. Yes, she admits, speaking about her feelings with pure, raw sincerity. The one I loved was Moso. A moment later, he carefully steers the topic. When you mentioned completing the game, did you mean your marriage to the commander? Daphne's expression turns quite bitter. Yes, she mutters. I had absolutely no choice. If you do not reach an ending within a single year, you literally die. Remembering her sheer helplessness staring at the system quest to marry an NPC, she sighs. That was the mission given to me the moment I took over this body. Back then, the only eligible bachelors were the commander and Hayden. Of course, bad luck struck. I ended up in the body of the commander's own daughter. Regret washes over her once more. Because of that, I had no choice but to choose Hayden. Haydam nods, feeling a wave of sympathy for her. So that is how it is. Daphne was pulled into this world via a completely different game, but aside from a few minor details, the characters and setting are almost identical to Save Zone. I always thought I was trapped in a game, but what if someone actually built a game based entirely on this real world? Despite how crazy that theory is, Haydam holds himself back. After all, it is just a wild guess. One thing is certain, the bastard who dragged us here is a total psycho who loves drama. Marry the female lead or die? Look, I like thrills, but dragging completely innocent people into this mess is going way too far. He kept quiet, wondering who was pulling the strings. Daphne's soft voice suddenly broke the silence. She thanked him for listening, admitting that even though she survived, her life was still weighed down by so many deep regrets. She confessed she only wanted to stay by Mo's side a little longer, but her own selfish greed ruined every relationship she had. She did not even care if she died, as long as she could avoid marrying Haydn. Daphne was pouring her absolute heart out here. She tried so hard to fix things, genuinely believing they would improve. But the very next morning, Luna Namoon vanished completely, leaving her entirely isolated in this massive, empty mansion. Deep sadness lingered in her eyes. It was why she could not easily believe Luna Namoon had truly forgiven her. Meanwhile, Haydam just stared quietly at his own reflection rippling in the cup of tea. He understood that completely. Who wouldn't? But taking another sip of tea, his mind suddenly filled with some pretty serious doubts. But get this, something here feels incredibly off. Had Daphne not already told Luna Namoon that she refused to marry Haydn? Why did she still run away? She easily could have stayed and married him herself. A sharp realization suddenly sparked in Haydam's eyes. Or maybe, despite her fragile looks, Daphne is a hardened survivor. Living right inside this brutal military faction for 10 years, she could very well be lying. Honestly, whether she is telling the truth or just manipulating supporters to kick Luna Namoon out does not even matter. Haydam glanced over at Daphne, asking himself why she would do this. But he was sharp enough to guess the real reason, especially since that username of hers was just too incredibly honest, Mo's wife. As long as Daphne's love for Mo remained unchanged, she would never target him while Mo stayed on his side. With that in mind, Haydam spoke up softly, addressing her. He threw out an incredibly bizarre proposal. He would help her get a divorce from his father. Daphne froze. A divorce? Why on earth was he suddenly bringing that up? Before she could even finish, Haydam cut her off. He just smiled. Of course, there was a major catch she had to help him in return. Her eyes widened in shock, but she quickly realized this was her best shot at redemption. What must I do? After that heavy talk, Haydam walked down the long, quiet hallway alone. His mind was racing with all his options. If Daphne truly allied with him, getting her that divorce would actually be incredibly easy. After all, he still had the last of his 3 special rewards left. He wondered how the rival factions would react to this mess. They were probably in absolute chaos already. He might even have to block out their screaming for a while. Are you completely insane? What in the world are you even thinking? No matter what, though, he recalled Hayden's promise. When the time is right, I will tell you everything. Thanks to that, Haydam had already pieced together about 80% of the truth. The commander definitely seemed to know Luna Namoon's actual identity. He placed his hand on the doorknob and took a deep, steady breath. From now on, he had to play his cards perfectly, acting as her son, not some gamer playing a role. He had to stay in character, at least until this territory was his. But stepping out, he ran straight into Mo's incredibly tense face. "Young master," he gasped, looking utterly speechless. Haydam gave him a judging look. Was this really that handsome, legendary uncle? Before Mo could even understand what was happening, a thunderous voice suddenly roared through the mansion. "What on earth do you think you are doing? Barging straight into Lady Daphne's private mansion and kicking out all her personal servants." His face completely darkened as absolute fury boiled over. "What could possibly be so important that you had to act this incredibly disrespectful? I demand an immediate explanation." Well, Haydam did not need a brain to see that the man was absolutely furious. He kept quiet, plotting his next move. "If you really want to know that badly, then I will just tell you." Haydam placed a hand over his chest with a very serious look. "I swore on my mother's sacred name to help Lord Hayden and Lady Daphne divorce. I literally just made that promise, so now I am getting ready to take my leave." Mo froze instantly as shocked whispers erupted all around them. "What did you say?" Anton demanded aggressively, asking what he was thinking. "If this gets to the commander's ears," they muttered, but Hayden's deep voice suddenly cut them off. "If it reaches my ears, then what? Is there something going on that I should not know?" The room turned incredibly icy. "Commander," they gasped. Haydam walked right up to Haydam, staring him down in absolute silence. Haydam kept his explanation very brief and straightforward. He had only spoken to Lady Daphne, so he did nothing wrong. There was no need to worry because Lady Daphne had already forgiven him for showing up unannounced. Haydam turned on his heel, coldly scoffing that Daphne's forgiveness was not the only thing that mattered here. He openly criticized him. "You are wrong, Haydam, in this territory. Absolutely everything requires my explicit permission. Without it, everything you do is a major problem." Hearing this, Mo felt a brief flash of discomfort at Haydam's massive display of authority. Surprisingly, Haydam did not push back at all. In fact, he immediately found a clever loophole, asking if that meant he was completely free to cause trouble as long as he had his father's permission first. He bowed as if receiving a massive favor. Fine, he understood and would remember. He asked if he could return to his room now, intentionally emphasizing those last words, calling him father, while hiding his own secret amusement. Haydam let out a cold grunt, telling him to go. As evening slowly fell, the day's major crisis was temporarily settled, though Mo did not stop nagging Haydam about it for the entire walk back. "Do you even realize how insanely worried I was about you? The commander always treats Lady Daphne with total respect, so you should be glad this ended so easily." Suddenly, Haydam stopped dead in his tracks. Oh, that's right. Speaking of Lady Daphne, he glanced sideways at Mo's expression. He casually dropped that she wanted a divorce. In an instant, Mo's brain completely froze like a crashing computer. Before he could speak, Haydam continued. Since he agreed with her, he offered to help make it happen. Haydam turned all the way around to face him. "Oh, and another thing," he shrugged, dropping an absolute bombshell right on Mo's head. "She is currently looking for someone new to marry." Hearing this, Mo's face grew visibly frantic. "What did she say again?" "Right. She asked me to help find a decent guy since she has no one else to confide in." Honestly, what choice does he have? He has to help them out. Watch closely though, because playing matchmaker for these two clueless lovesick fools is going to be incredibly easy. But Mo suddenly choked out young Master Haydam. Haydam grinned at his bright red face, amazed to see him lose his cool like this. Yet Mo still managed to stammer out a pretty shocking question. "What exactly do I need to do to qualify as a candidate?" Haydam had to hold back a massive sigh. "Oh boy, look this guy." Seizing the opportunity, Haydam grinned and told him he had to start by treating him nicely. Mo looked completely hypnotized, nodding instantly. "Yes sir," he agreed. Getting blasted with this second-hand romance was almost too much for Haydam. That lovesick face was way too obvious. He had to figure out a new plan because meeting her in secret was impossible now. Soon enough, the rumors about Haydam's wild stunt at Daphne's mansion quieted down. The snow on the mountains was nearly gone, signaling that the massive subjugation war was finally about to begin. With the clock ticking fast, everyone had to work twice as hard. Preparations were in full swing across the territory. Since Haydam was planning to join the front lines, he was about to be absolutely swamped. But when Haydam heard Haydn's latest order, his eyes widened in total shock. "What?" Buried in a massive pile of paperwork, the commander did not even bother to look up, flatly stating that hunting was completely banned. Haydam's face fell instantly. What was his problem now? All of Haydam's neat plans were suddenly ruined. Before the big subjugation war started, he had wanted to train that game character. But now this grumpy guy in the corner was whining about his own training. Haydam had to remind him that he needed to survive basic military training first. But putting that guy aside, the real issue was that Haydam had been planning to go hunting with his main partner. Hayden explained that winter was ending, meaning hungry monsters were coming out to hunt, making it far too dangerous. Hayden got the point immediately. He was basically grounded inside the castle walls. But he was not about to give up that easily. How am I supposed to prepare for the upcoming campaign then? Hayden looked quite surprised by his boldness. You are almost old enough for the military academy, he noted. Once you graduate, you can join all the battles you want, but I cannot send an inexperienced rookie out there. Haydam instantly panicked. 6 whole years at that military academy just to graduate. Unbelievable. Thinking this, he asked directly, "Why did you decide this without asking me first?" Hayden completely ignored the question and shifted the topic to something else. More importantly, Daphne told me that you two spoke about Lunamon. Haydam confirmed it without a shred of fear. Yes, we did. Is there a problem with that? The commander boldly got straight to the point. Then you must have heard that Lunamon was a player. Though, slightly surprised, Haydam kept his composure, replying, "Yes, I heard my mother was not from this world." He silently realized the commander knew all along. Hayden began recalling his past experiences with her. Lunamon was a person who always spoke of unbelievable things which made it very hard for him to easily believe her. Little did he know, he would never see her again after that. Hayden's voice carried a hint of deep regret. If only I had listened to her more back then. I promised to tell to you everything when the time was right why I married Daphne instead of Lunamon. His face grew incredibly dark. The one who wanted me to marry Daphne was actually Lunamon. Right after finding out she was pregnant, she disappeared. She left only a letter, arranging for me to marry Daphne and become commander. I have so many questions for her if we ever meet again, but right now I am just grateful I finally found you. Hayden then quickly reverted to his usual cold, distant demeanor. So, make trouble if you must, but you are absolutely forbidden from joining the conquest. Hayden felt utterly powerless. This was a classic case of avoidant attachment. Who knew the commander spoiled his son this much? But thanks to this, he realized Daphne never drove Lunamon away. He had no idea why Lunamon wanted those two to marry. The crucial point was that in 10 years, the second apocalypse would begin. He could not afford to waste 6 years, a total waste of time. He desperately wanted to reveal the second apocalypse, but doing so would just make him look insane. Yet the commander loved him like his own flesh and blood. But if Hayden ever discovered Haydam was not his real son, Mercisho would probably tell him to just kill the kid, ending Haydam right there. Yes, sir. In that scenario, Haydam could only scream. Even you, Mercio. Of course, that was just his wild imagination, but in the worst case it could happen. Plus, he could not let it slip that he was actually a player. Was there some clever way to warn him about the second apocalypse without exposing his real identity? Let's see if he can pull off this absolute gamble. If we are done, you may leave. But Haydam was not about to let it end there. Father, you asked me before if you told me everything. Would I share my secrets too? Aren't you curious why I wasn't surprised when I learned Mother's true identity? He chose to confront it head on. Honestly, I am a regressor. I know it is incredibly hard to believe. The woman he loved was a player, and her son was a regressor from the future. Utter shock flashed in Hayden's eyes. A regressor? Haydam gave a silent nod of affirmation. But regardless of their relationship, the commander would not be able to ignore this. Haydam recalled his earlier words about wishing he knew it was their last meeting. Hayden had already lost Lunamon once he would not ignore this. After a heavy silence, Hayden spoke up. I only have one question for you. If you really are a regressor, why are you only choosing to reveal your true identity to me now? Haydam looked at him with a serious expression. To let you know that we do not have much time left. Hayden was hit by one shock after another. What? There was no way he could ignore this. He revealed the future. In 10 years, the apocalypse will strike once again. He knew the commander would never want to live in regret twice. Following that intense talk, the office door opened once more. Hayden looked up. Mercio saluted him with absolute discipline. Sir, my house arrest has ended today. I am here to report that I have officially returned to active duty. Hayden maintained his usual cold expression. Welcome back. But I heard you have been visiting the research institute quite often lately, is that true? Classic Mercio, even while grounded, he was still working. Yes, I have a few things I want to develop. Mercio quickly shifted the topic to something far more important. Commander, there is actually something I would like to ask you. I heard young Master Haydam is joining the Military Academy training program, is that correct? Hayden confirmed it without any hesitation. That is right, I am meeting the Academy director today to finalize the dates. Hearing this, Mercio hesitated slightly, asking if Hayden wasn't worried. The commander just frowned, worried about what? Mercio then laid out his analysis. Haydam has talent, but he is still just a child. His sparring partners will be veteran cadets. One single slip-up and Haydam could get seriously hurt. But instead of worrying about his son getting injured, the commander was focused on something else entirely. How did the other officers react? Naturally, the answer was obvious. It was not positive. Hayden quickly put his quill pen down and leaned back deeply into his office chair. Mercio, we have known each other for years, facing countless enemies over the decades. I have realized one thing, it is all about intuition. These cryptic words left Mercio thoroughly confused. What exactly do you mean? You know it too, right? That gut feeling can save lives or end them in an instant. In his mind, Hayden thought back to his initial reaction. Honestly, I could not believe it at first either. He could not stop thinking about Hayden's warning that another apocalypse would arrive in 10 years. Hayden had been completely shocked at the time, demanding to know if another end of the world was truly coming. Haydam added with absolute seriousness, "I know this sounds completely unbelievable, but those horrific memories are still crystal clear in my mind. After facing inevitable death, I woke up in my 10-year-old body." He spoke with intense, raw emotion. "This life is my second chance. I must prevent the apocalypse at all costs." Normally, Hayden would never have believed such a wild story. But the boy's utter seriousness forced him to pay attention. You see, instead of just talking, Hayden chose to prove it. "Isn't this getting intense?" he asked. "Don't you find it strange, father? I am far more mature than my actual age, and I know way too much about the military." Hearing these words, Hayden hesitated, completely speechless. If that is true, then what happens next? Before he could finish, Hayden cut him off. "You probably want me to predict the future, but I cannot, because after returning to the past, the timeline began to shift." A vague anxiety began to grip Hayden's heart. "So instead of trying to make vague prophecies, I will give you concrete proof of everything." Haydam then made a very bold request. "Please allow me to participate in the military academy's combat drill." Hayden never expected his son to make such a daring move. Deep within this region lies a facility known as the Kola District Military Academy. Publicly, the academy's curriculum focuses on theory and real combat against monsters, but in reality, there is a top-secret training program, human combat simulation to put it simply. It is raw, life-or-death training where cadets fight each other. Because elite cadets clash directly, the difficulty is off the charts. The strict preparations and security are just like a real high-stakes military campaign. Since this program trains them to fight other regions, it is a classified military secret. All related information is heavily locked down. Hayden's eyes widened in sheer shock. How could someone who lived on the outside know about this training? "This is a classified secret known only to me and a few high-ranking officers." Hayden simply smiled and continued. "Because in the future timeline, I already graduated from this academy once. So instead of relying on vague prophecies, I will prove everything with my own raw skill. I will easily top this training, so please trust me." Deep conviction sparked inside Hayden's heart. Right then, he made the final decision to fully believe this child. Back in the present, facing Mercio, Hayden spoke with absolute calmness. "He told me he wants to join the training program, and I decided to support that choice." "Mercio, do you think I am letting my personal feelings cloud my judgment?" "Of course, I cannot deny that. He is the child of myself and Lunamon. But it is more than that. I feel like guns and city walls are no longer enough to protect this place." Right now, he is feeling quite dazzled, so let's put our faith in my intuition this time. Who knows? Maybe this kid will actually become the grand hope of the Kola district. It really feels like these words have just paved the way for a much brighter future. Very quickly after that, Hayden arrives right at the military academy principal's office. The older man freezes in complete shock for a few seconds when he realizes who he is looking at. Seeing this helpless reaction, Hayden can only sigh quietly to himself. Oh my, the academy principal simply cannot believe his ears. "What did you just say?" Suddenly, Blayton steps right up to answer on his behalf, stating they absolutely cannot allow someone who isn't even a registered student to join the official training session. Haydam glances over at Blayton, thinking to himself that he has finally met him. This legendary bookworm of the military academy is none other than Blayton, the brilliant son of General Anton, an outstanding student widely expected to graduate at the absolute top of his class. Even though his father is the leader of the faction supporting Dubny, he never uses his family influence to act arrogant. He actually gets along pretty well with the group supporting Hay, earning him deep respect from almost all the students. However, Blayton firmly requests the principal to reconsider, saying he knows this kid well. The real problem is that he is just far too upright and honest to ever become a proper soldier. Since Blayton himself is the one opposing his entry into the army, they cannot let an unenrolled kid join the training. Haydam feels quite helpless against this stubborn attitude, realizing exactly why everyone at the academy calls him a complete bookworm. No matter how outstanding someone's achievements are, a soldier's highest duty is absolute obedience. The academy principal is totally stunned by this strictness. Is it really impossible to show a little flexibility for just a single training exercise? Even the commander himself has already given his approval, yet Blayton remains completely unyielding. "Principal, despite his young age, Haydam is still a proud member of our Kola district. How could you make such an insulting offer right in front of him?" Haydam screams inside his mind. "Calm down, young man," he thinks, until he has to step in and directly state that he fully agrees with the terms. The rest of the words stay quiet inside his mind. "Of course, I don't need any special favors during this session either." Haydam turns around, successfully backing the principal into a tight corner by thanking him for the kind concern. But it is not needed. The principal stammers in confusion, saying he is only worried. Haydam confidently and clearly declares that he came here to witness the true strength of these elite academy students. Blayton cannot help but be amazed by such a bold statement. He really is as eccentric as the rumors say. Still, he doesn't forget to warn him. Since this exercise is basically real combat, he could end up getting seriously injured. Haydam replies short and sweet, I don't care. Blayton takes a close look and silently observes. Even if the kid's current strength is quite weak, his attitude to learn and improve is actually pretty admirable. Seeing that he cannot convince him, Blayton makes a quick decision. In that case, please assign me to the same team as Haydam. If he must join, we should at least try to balance the playing field. The academy principal naturally agrees to this. That is a pretty good idea, as it gives him a close-up view while keeping the risk of injury very low. However, Haydam rejects it instantly, saying there is absolutely no need. Blayton is just trying to ease his tension, reminding him there is no shame in getting help from teammates, since teamwork is vital. But somehow, the one who actually ends up getting stressed by this is Blayton himself. That is not what I meant. If we are on the same team, how am I supposed to prove that I am better than you? He says this with a sharp side-eye toward Blayton. Oh, I forgot to mention that I came here specifically to prove I am better than every single student here. Honestly, attending classes at this academy is just a complete waste of time. Now check this out as we head into the Snow Mountain Forest on a beautiful day. The rules are pretty simple to win. You either eliminate the entire enemy force or plant your flag on their pole. Training suit sensors will detect hits. If you take a fatal hit, you will be marked as dead, so you better be careful. Once the explanation ends, Blayton speaks up to ask the instructor a quick question. This is our usual training ground, but it is Haydam's first time here. For a fair match, shouldn't we switch to a different area? Smiling calmly as always, Haydam simply shakes his head and declines. No need, I will win no matter where we play, so let's just go with the spot everyone knows best. The other students stare in absolute shock and disbelief. Haydam has successfully pissed off the entire crowd. What did that arrogant kid just say? Angry whispers immediately break out. Just because his dad is the commander, does he think he owns the place? Where on earth does he get the confidence to say such wild things? Among them, one quite confident student sneers that he is probably doing this on purpose, so if he loses, he can just blame the terrain. Little did they know, Blayton hears every single word. Keep it down, everyone. You shouldn't talk trash behind someone's back if you wouldn't say it to their face. Besides, Haydam fighting all alone probably means he literally has no other option. He pictures Haydam putting in his absolute best effort even while fighting completely solo. Wait, what? Blayton suddenly gives them a serious warning. First, no matter how good your squad is, some people are better off alone than with useless allies. Second, if Haydam gets hurt during this session, the students who failed to protect him will face massive trouble. As he says this, Blayton looks up toward a very high tree branch. And finally, third, Haydam has a pretty small build, which makes it easy for him to use the forest terrain to hide. In this specific scenario, going solo is actually a massive advantage. So the only target Haydam will be aiming for, and everyone follows Blayton's gaze right up the tree, is our camp's flagpole. Since he can't fight us all alone, he will definitely wait for an opening to steal it. Those bold provocations from Haydam, they might actually just be a calculated strategy to mess with our heads. Honestly, if that is the case, his previous rude attitude suddenly makes total sense. Hearing this, one of the guys gets pretty excited, so he doesn't actually look down on us and ignore our skills. But this thought quickly forces him to reconsider. Actually, he probably does not care about you guys at all. Putting that aside, Blayton addresses the group, reminding them that Haydam is taking this exercise very seriously. Therefore, the absolute least we can do is respond with our full strength. Now, head over to Haydam's camp, but make sure your movements are as flashy as possible. Once he tries to avoid you and heads for our flag, I will ambush and shoot him down. Blayton adjusts his glasses to finalize the trap. That is the plan. He raises his voice and commands them to go and flush the rabbit out of its hole. The teammates shout in unison. The operation begins as a group of 5 heads out. Meanwhile, Haydam sits up on a tree branch, watching them. What on earth is this? He is slightly confused as to why they are gathering so closely together like perfect sitting ducks. This gives him a quick idea. If that is true, has Blayton realized something is off? Time to warm up. Soft rustling sounds echo from deep within the forest. Blayton finds a spot to hide while keeping his guard completely up. A sudden thought flashes through his mind. I heard the warning shot, so he is close, but I must absolutely remain alert. Blayton recalls his father Anton's warning that looking down on him just because he is 10 years old will only lead to embarrassment. I completely agree with my father's judgment on this. When I first heard him say that, I actually wondered why he rated a 10-year-old kid so highly. How am I supposed to deal with this arrogant brat anyway? But meeting him now, I finally understand. That bold smile isn't contempt, and it is not just a tactical mask. Haydam is genuinely enjoying our reaction, exactly like a predator eyeing its helpless prey. After waiting a while, Blayton suddenly senses something is wrong. Wait, why is it so quiet? He should have showed up by now. In a brief moment of confusion, has he left his post? Let alone my squad? A bullet suddenly grazes past Blayton by just a few centimeters, and a foot quietly steps into view. The one who fired that shot is none other than Haydam. Damn, almost got you. Just as I thought, Blayton really is different. His mind takes a massive shock. When did he even get here? Blayton quickly retreats behind a wooden wall, demanding to know how he knew his ambush spot. Haydam honestly replies that out of all the students attacking his base, Blayton was the only one he couldn't see. But this simple answer still isn't quite enough to satisfy his growing curiosity. But how did you know I was not in the assault squad? Everyone is wearing goggles and masks anyway. All of this is just blatant trying to buy time. I still have a shot here. After all, I know this terrain way better than he does. He just needs to keep the conversation going to pinpoint Hadam's location. But the moment he glances outside, he notices something shocking. Hadam has vanished completely, without leaving even a single trace behind. He's gone. Suddenly, another bullet flies out, striking the very gun in his hands. Before he knows it, Hadam is already standing right in front of Blayton. "You can hide your face," he says, "but you can't hide your height or the way you run." Right after those words, gunfire erupts continuously. Away. Even while dodging, Blayton tries to aim and fire back, but everything is completely chaotic. Hadam is nowhere to be found. Look at this. While adjusting his scope, he spots a gun lying in the snow. Hadam is pretty small, which makes it super easy for him to use the obstacles to stay hidden. Exactly. A small body means lightweight, making it almost impossible to detect him by sound or tracks. By the time Blayton finally realizes this, a dagger is already plunged straight into him. The elimination announcement echoes right after. Team A is completely wiped out, Team B wins. In their post-match meeting, Blayton asks if Hadam took down his entire squad before coming here. Hadam just shrugs it off, saying he already warned them. He shakes his water bottle and casually declares that he's more than enough on his own. "I heard Blayton's specialty is long-range sniping, so this entire operation was probably your master plan, wasn't it? An ordinary kid would have had absolutely zero chance against this." Hadam admits that one of the main reasons he joined this drill was to personally evaluate Blayton's quick judgment and his ability to lead teammates under pressure. His next words catch Blayton completely off guard. He asks if Blayton would be interested in becoming his close aide after graduation. Meanwhile, Merso gently taps his hand on the desk. "Following your orders, I gathered the trainees to review how their session with Hadam went. This is the compiled report based on all of their raw feedback," Merso explains as he presents the files. Hayden seriously goes through the files he just received. First section starts with Case 1, where a student complains that he has never seen any 10-year-old kid act so cowardly. According to him, Hadam approached two trainees at the back. The kid claimed he had a secret order from the commander, snatched their weapons right out of their hands, and then, bang! The trainee continues excitedly, recalling how the sudden gunshot startled him. He turned around only to find the kid had collapsed and passed out cold. The whole situation left him completely stunned. Did he pass out mid-fight? But the moment I rushed over out of worry, he stabbed me right then and there. Then we have Case 2, where Hadam acted like a seasoned veteran. Predicting our movement paths and countering them might seem like something any kid could eventually do, but Hadam executed his mission with a terrifying level of professionalism, showing absolutely zero stress while remaining completely laid back and at ease. It felt like he had already fought us countless times before. Among all the interviews, Merso pays close attention to one specific statement from a young trainee listed as Case 3. "You want to know Hadam's true capability? He is so dead serious it's unreal. Hadam is literally a god." Back in the present, Merso wraps up his thoughts with a clear conclusion. "Sure, some of these opinions are a bit wild, but I believe they're just completely blown away by Hadam's insane skills." Deep down, Merso secretly thinks the commander only ordered this joint training to show off his favorite kid, so he decides to just play along. After skimming through those dozens of pages, Hayden softly calls out to Merso, who responds immediately. "Right here, sir," as the commander makes his decision without a second thought. Hadam will lead the upcoming subjugation campaign. Merso's shocked scream echoes through the entire building. "What?" Shortly after, Merso confronts Hadam directly, asking if the kid is seriously telling him to hand over command of this operation. "What's wrong?" "Worried I am going to ruin your precious reputation. Now that our training is finished and the commander approved my participation, a formal order has been issued giving me absolute supreme command over this entire operation." Of course, to avoid a massive backlash from the other officers, Merso remains the officially registered commander of the subjugation campaign. Keeping the military's reality in mind, Merso helplessly rubs his forehead. "You know that is not what I meant. Mock battles and actual combat are two completely different things. Sure, your skills are freakishly outstanding, just like the trainees said. Even the path you planned out is in a highly unpredictable zone. If you only looked at a map, there is simply no way you should be this overly familiar with it." Merso draws his conclusion based on his own observations. "It's almost as if you've already been there before." Hadam sighs and scoffs, asking if simply knowing how to read a map is really that shocking. He decides to keep the secrets behind his knowledge hidden. I have no plans to tell Merso that I'm a returner, but this guy just won't stop digging. Now check this out. Hadam decides to distract him by slamming his hand onto Merso's strategy map. What we really need to focus on right now isn't the map, but how terribly inefficient our battle methods are. I heard that in subjugations, you guys usually paralyze the monsters first, before searching for and destroying their magic stones. Merso is instantly drawn into the topic. Exactly, because to find the magic stone, we have to restrict their movements first. But Hadam's next question catches Merso completely off guard, asking if that isn't an incredibly inefficient way to fight. If we destroy the magic stone right from the start, we can skip the entire fight. Hearing this unconventional strategy, Merso frowns and reminds him. Hatem, you have to understand that every single monster has its magic stone in a completely different spot. Small and medium ones are easy to pinpoint, but for the giant species, it's extremely hard to even guess where the stone is hidden. Most monsters we face in these subjugation campaigns are of the giant class. Destroying the magic stone first, like you suggested, is practically impossible. Yet Hadam seems completely serious about this bold plan. A smirk plays on Hadam's lips. He's already done the math. Back when he was clearing out all those regions, how many monsters did he actually slaughter by himself? Since the magic stone is a monster's vital weak point, it's always located in the safest spot on their bodies. For instance, with horned monsters, the stone is always right near the horn. In short, after clearing this over and over, he can sense exactly where the magic stone is just by looking at a monster's footprints. Then he casually drops a bombshell, declaring he knows the precise location of every single magic stone. Murso's pupils contract in absolute shock, gasping out a quick what. Hatem completely ignores him and continues, boldly declaring that this subjugation campaign will be executed with absolute peak efficiency. As night falls, Hatem lies in bed but continues to work tirelessly. He thinks back to their morning conversation, recalling Murso's face of pure disbelief, but at least the plan has been laid out and done. Hadam taps his system screen, staring at the message. Wait, does this mean there are actually 2 dopamine addicts out there? He finds himself quite confused by this weird development. What kind of nonsense is this now? Dozens of unread messages flood in, demanding to know what Homer J is doing and why he is ignoring the group chat. What's your true identity anyway? Hatem scrolls through the screen deep in thought. There are tons of unread messages in the group chat. Did something major happen? He decides to check the chat history first. It all started with a message from the Rouge, saying they just received a very strange text. The message was sent from someone claiming to be Dopamine Addict. Did anyone else get this? Hadam pays close attention to this detail. Someone claiming to be Dopamine Addict? He thinks back to when he first woke up in this world. Chef Zoe had impersonated him once before, and now another fake is crawling out of the woodwork. Another user chimed in, saying they had no idea how to deal with this either. Honestly, I received that text too. Someone else typed out, referring to the exact same message. So it wasn't just me. Homer J got it too. Another group member adds they didn't see anything, asking what everyone is talking about. It seems the mysterious message didn't reach everyone after all. Hatem watches quietly, analyzing the situation. It looks like everyone got the exact same DM. I don't. Krysad asks if he is the only one who did not receive it. Meanwhile, Hombo JCH admits he ignored it completely, assuming it was just a fake account trying to spam him. What exactly does it say? Zin chimed in, saying he found it too sketchy and almost ignored it. But since everyone else got the message, he is dying to know who is behind the sender ID. Listen to me, I don't. Krysad keeps shouting that he never got it. The crazy chat log definitely makes Hatem curious too. What did the message actually say? Right then, Zin shares a screenshot of his message. It says Zin can interact with all sectors except the Unicorn Zone. But the kicker is the sender ID. It is Dopamine Addict. Reading this, Hatem bolts upright in bed, completely shocked. Wait a second, is someone using his exact ID? The group chat goes absolutely wild in the middle of the night. Druggy jumps in, saying his message looks identical. The text says Dopamine Addict can interact with all regions except the Unicorn Zone. Hombo JCH insists it has to be a fake. He is already friends with the real Dopamine Addict, so a direct message should have gone through normally. But now he finds himself blocked. Zin laughs off the friend's talk, complaining that his own friend request was totally ignored. I don't. Krysad wonders who would send something like this, and what they are actually planning. Zin calls it a solid question. Logically, cross-zone communication should be completely impossible until the second apocalypse begins. Hatem starts digging through his memories of the game from before he transmigrated. Back in the game, massive protective barriers separated the regions until the second disaster hit. Absolute Boss sends another text reminding everyone that nothing is ever set in stone in this crazy world. What if those zone barriers never actually existed? This thought genuinely shivers Hatem's spine. Come to think of it, he has never even visited those borders before. He decides to check out the border during his upcoming raid. Still, the barrier mystery can wait. The real question is, why would someone over in the Unicorn Zone pull off a sketchy stunt like this anyway? Dozens of fast theories keep flooding the chat. Zin reminds everyone that this channel only allows players who unlocked the system. Then, Dent jumps in with a good question, asking if the sender could be a player currently active inside the Unicorn Zone. Zin praises the rookie's sharp instincts. It is highly likely since the only missing player is from the Unicorn Zone. Suddenly, Druggy chimes in with a warning about a very bizarre discovery. Druggy tells everyone to check the public chat list. Hearing this, Hatem feels curious. What could be wrong with a member list? He scrolls through the names, but everything seems completely normal at first glance. There are exactly 8 members listed in the order they joined the group chat. Nothing looks out of place. But then, I don't. Krysad points out a terrifying detail. He asks if there are already 8 members before even counting himself. Druggy admits he simply thought the double name at the very top of the list was because that person created the group. Hatem freezes. Wait, check this out, here is where it gets crazy. Everyone else has actually been seeing his ID listed twice this entire time. If they click their own ID, their profile pops up. But clicking the other identical name displays a system prompt, asking if they want to send a friend request to Dopamine Addict. An imposter has been lurking here from the start. This realization makes Haydam extremely tense. However, he keeps his composure and decides not to react too quickly just yet. First, Haydam needs to analyze what the others received to see if there is any critical data. He scrolls through the chaos of the group chat. The members are begging Hombo JCH to check the channel immediately. They keep spamming Hombo JCH to wake up and look at the group chat right away. Haydam finally sends a quick message, simply stating it is not him. Having two accounts makes him feel a bit more relaxed about the situation. But then, Haydam spots a direct message from T-Butter, and his eyes widen in pure shock. Dozens of frantic texts are sitting there, asking if the person behind Dopamine Addict was truly not him. T-Butter asks, if that was an imposter, how did he know the exact details of our private chats? He explains that since they were already friends, he fully assumed it was Haydam and kept messaging him back and forth. His friend demands to know his true identity. Haydam stares at the system screen in deep thought. An imposter friended T-Butter using his name. Honestly, Haydam is the one who wants answers here. A cold smirk plays on Haydam's lips. Who the hell are you, M?